trader friends, welcome to Trade Live with IG with myself and Rich, you look a lot
Changed. Yeah, I've changed.
You look so much younger.
English man, not Scottish man today in the hot seat.
And I'm pleased that you are here because it was hot last night. It was absolutely brutal. I was on the platform, and Jack I think was kind of on the other end going, "Dear God, here we go again." I just saw Maxime earlier this morning, who looked like he had less blood than usual. And he's like, it could be a continuation today, so he's waiting to see. Were you working late last night? Were you? I
wasn't working late yesterday, but it was a long day yesterday. So we had lots of calls just about where's this going to bottom out? You know, what do we think? Is it going to go any further? And the annoying thing is we don't really have an answer to that just yet. It's very much a wait and see type of logic. Although it looks like Asia's bounced overnight. So if you look at the Hang Seng, if you look at the China A50, they actually haven't had a bad session overnight. So Bloomberg this morning were running with stories, you know, that kind of people are starting to tentatively buy the dip a little bit. I'm not quite sure myself. The problem when you see a day like yesterday, okay, 4 trillion taken off of the US market. That's a big number.
It's huge.
It's a big number. It's a lot of deleveraging. It's a lot of people taking their money and kind of getting wiped out, margin calls, whatever you want to call it. It's tricky to be buying straight away, right? And the reason why is I would say that you don't know where your support is. You know, you've just seen this huge crash in the markets. And granted, we've been kind of slowly selling off. It really gathered momentum yesterday. And yesterday it was this flashpoint. You know, what kind of, I mean, we saw some huge moves in the stock market. We saw.
I mean, I was tapped in at 7, and VIX at that point, I was messaging Rich. It was getting close to his 25 level, was kind of approaching.
Hang on, newsflash. Was that you were tucked into bed at 7?
No, I was talking to Rich
you were talking to Rich at 7. I was like, wow, I'm jealous that you were in bed so early.
I was talking to Rich, going, "Are you seeing this puke?" He was like, "This is puke." And I was just messaging him because, as we talk about this a lot on the show, 25 is that level, just popping that up for you, which is his alert, right? Change your thesis level. And at around 7, it was fast approaching, right? It was kind of still nearing that point. It did come off slightly. But at that point in time, I was also checking on the Ong portfolio.
On the Ong portfolio?
Yeah. And I can tell you that...
Are you Ong and wrong at the moment?
I am Ong. Thank God I diversified. Thank God I bit on a stick. That is why, trader friends, we talk so much about diversification here, making sure all your eggs are not in one basket. In fact, you saw me live on the show when I said, I think I'm a bit tech heavy in October. Mag 7 tech heavy.
Well, I mean, we're back to where we were in October, pretty much. If that's one way to think about it. If you liked it last October, you're going to love it this what's it, March now?
Yeah. Well, this is the question. Is it time to go shopping? We'll get to that in a moment because I did look at the biggest losers.
Let's just, talking about kind of the size of yesterday's move. So 4 trillion was wiped off the US stock market yesterday. And I've got a nice heat map here. So for those that aren't yet plugged into TradingView, you can now use your IG trading account plugged directly into TradingView. And what I'm going to try and do here is just zoom in to try and show you the size of some of these moves. So it's not a surprise that IT and tech is going to be here, right? Nvidia down 5%, Apple down 5%. You kind of go out towards technology services. You know, if I can zoom back out again here, you know, Meta, Palantir, Microsoft, Google, all down huge. Tesla was the big one. 15.4%. So you're really seeing this momentum build now in the on the tech side, and it's just having its knock-on effect across the rest of the market. So yeah, brutal one yesterday, very brutal.
Hold that thought because we're going to bring up the coming up to show you who we've got on the slate today to talk about all this in the market. What an evening. Matt Arber, head of volatility products, joining us at 8:40 a.m. Then we got Tom Walsenholm, otherwise known as the And Run from Tom show.
Right, okay.
Because each time he comes on, the fire alarm goes off, or, Dylan Rattigan can't come on, and, etc. So it's become like a bit of a running joke now.
Okay.
Amongst our viewers as well, who came up with the show idea. Thank you,
Okay.
guys. And live from the trade desk with Aaron Bright to talk about geopolitics. Aaron likely to feel vindicated, because yesterday morning at this time we talked about how, all this Trump tariff disco, roll back, roll forward, roll back, roll the disco. Markets they can take it for a bit, but they're not going to take it forever. And we're now seeing it come out, right?
It's uncertainty, right? Markets don't know what they don't know. Sorry, they don't like what they don't know. And at the moment, they don't know a lot. You're sitting there and you're trying to think, right, what is the cost of my goods and services? What is it going to be? What are my stockpiles going to look like? What are my sales going to look like? And it's really difficult to know what that is when we don't actually know what the trade policy is. The US has decided to kick up a trade war with all of its best friends.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to sit there, reassess our portfolios, trying to reassess what's going on. The problem is when it happens so quickly, you have to do it very fast, and often it's not your choice when you do it. So position sizing is key at the moment. Risk is key at the moment. Stops are key at the moment. We've just got to be careful out there, I think, at the moment.
Speaking of quickly, we're going to stay right there. We're going to just have this quick sting, and we'll go to overnight action and your comments. Hey, welcome back to the show with myself and Luke, otherwise mature and saying, oil of Ulay Luke.
Oil of Ulay.
The skin. Lovely.
For those, you wouldn't have seen this, but if you were following me on Instagram, my wife, have you ever seen one of these kind of UV masks? Have you seen these kind of photon light mask things?
No.
Anyway, my wife just got one.
He's got better skin.
My wife just got one, and you're damn right I put it on my face. I was like walking around looking like something out of Star Wars over the weekend. So I'm glad you've noticed, actually. Yeah, there you go.
Is it one with like holes for your eyes and your mouth, and you just?
Yeah, it is.
Funky Gibbon, good morning. Mango, good morning to you as well. R. Sachs, I hope you have had a good time shopping. Stock shopping, of course. R. Sachs really good at snapping up bargains. Jugger, having a small short position, so relaxing into these moments. Good one. We talked about having small position sizes.
Completely.
Making sure you don't take your eyes off the screen. If you take your eyes off the screen, make sure you have very hard stops, tight stops in place. Julian saying, Monkey Man, I've been following Apple head and shoulders, major support and resistance at 22,100. Issa!
Trying to see if I can find.
Good morning, Issa.
So in the next break, I'll see if I can find the photo.
He's trying to find it for you. But I know Issa's got option strategies in place. Hope that paid off. We had quite a few moments this morning when I was walking around the floor, checking in on everyone, and you could tell. This is the thing, right? I mean, let's recap the overnight, and I'll tell you some handy tricks that you can use. So overnight, just recapping, we had huge moves lower, continued moves lower as recession fears really started to take hold. HSBC downgraded US stocks. The S&P 500 closed below.
Citi downgraded stocks, US stocks.
HSBC as well.
Oh, HSBC was the day before, I think.
Oh.
Citi have downgraded the US this morning and prefer China.
Citi.
So look, I mean, it was just one of those days. I mean, crypto got absolutely annihilated yesterday. Did you see the news on MicroStrategy?
Yeah.
So they announced that they were going to raise $21 billion worth of preferred stock, which to my eyes is the first time that they've said that they're going to issue stock. They've been issuing 0% convertible bonds up to date. It's that there'll be an 8% dividend on those stocks and being able to convert them into regular shares at any one time. But MicroStrategy got smashed, Coinbase got smashed, Mara, CleanSpark, all of these kind of crypto-related names just got absolutely dominated yesterday. So, quantum computing also got dominated. Tesla down 18%. Tesla, you could make an argument that it's now at the October support level. It was just a tough Tough day yesterday. Elon as well. Obviously, he's trying to run around, cut costs in the US at the moment.
Producer Fred made a joke this morning when I came in, and we were kind of like, chatting, so moving. And producer Fred's like, I wonder how Elon must be feeling. Maybe he'll fire himself because look at the share price. It's just reverse. It's really painful. Especially for all those hardcore Musk fans, retail investors, Musketeers.
The Musketeers.
Yeah, that have bought in and probably bought in when it was, high levels, and now look at it. Look at that stock there.
Well, he came out and said it's extremely tough trying to run multiple businesses. Let's get the violin out.
Are we doing that sound there, people? Yeah.
It's hard. Yes, it is. It is hard. I tell you what, just on while we're talking about Elon, if you can click to my screen here, what we've got is, and this is a great website called the US Debt Clock, and this is a bit of a beast. But what it's basically trying to show us is a balancing act between US national debt and then tax revenues, the revenue per citizen, and there's tons and tons of stats. But what I only noticed yesterday is there is now a Doge clock, everybody. So to put this into context, the debt per US citizen is 107,000 US dollars. The debt per taxpayer, because clearly there's a lot less taxpayers than there are citizens, 323. Doge have barely made a blip in it. They're continuing to cut costs, but they've only cut about $1,600. Now that went up. When I was looking yesterday, that was about 1,630. So it's gone up by about $30 a day. They need to hurry up. They need to do a little bit more. But I just think that's a really cool kind of clock to keep an eye on. If you want to talk to people and look at the debt in reality, it's a great one to look at.
Yeah, and there are some trading floors which will not be named that have this clock up and continuously. It makes my eyes want to bleed, but it's a good one to check into if you're looking for context, right? And the whole Doge thing as well. We talked about this a lot with Aaron. Lots of moves there and he's really clever. He's tapped into the sentiment that they don't have the Ernst & Youngs, they don't have the big six there, coming in and cutting and restructuring every 1-2 years, right? So it's become fatter, and fatter. And
it's US exceptionalism. It's been the only show in town for such a long time, and that's being challenged now. That's where we are.
Now, here is the key thing, Luke. Here is the key thing. We've talked about this many times in the office, on the floor, and in the pub as well. Not that we get much time to go to the pub.
I'm trying to think about where you're taking this, considering chats in the pub.
However, I'd like to say, just putting up the NASDAQ, because that was what I was watching at 7 and 9 yesterday, and, looking for entry points and re-entry, adding that to my workspace. So it's easy for you to see there. I was looking at the 1 minute there, and if you're asking me the yellow, golden, and just golden lines, I'll explain it in a moment. But we've been here before. This is the thing. Trump's first time in office.
Yeah.
It wasn't once, it was twice, when he was absolutely, in a situation where the S&P did fall. Second violent fall came around, I think, 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's bring the US 500 up as well, because it did come back. It did come back at the end of his first presidency, showing the monthly chart there. He does, if he can repeat history, he has got this ability to change things up. And by the end of his presidency, markets would have turned up again. So what I'm trying to say is, maybe he is happy to create all this ruckus early on. Right? And then we might see just a clearing out on the chaff, and then we'll see it back up again.
Yeah, we've been talking to clients a lot about this, and the timing, I think, is disputed. But I think he's probably got 6 months before this becomes his economy.
Yeah.
At the moment,
he has time to make all those mistakes in the first 6 months.
It's like when any new CEO comes into a business that needs a bit of a turnaround, you get all of the bad news out. You say, look,
kitchen sinking.
Yeah, you kitchen sink it. I've looked under the carpet. I've looked in the cupboards, and there's all this horrible stuff. Let's just get it out. and then you turn it around. And chaps, if you could just pop up my screen, what I just want to draw your attention to here is the reason why we're feeling this a lot more than everybody, well, I say from everybody else, is it's just the names that are getting killed. Okay, the S&P, so this is slightly outdated. I've got the S&P down 9.8%. This was on Bloomberg's Daybreak note this morning. The Nasdaq's down 12. It's the Mag 7 that is everybody's favorite set of stocks is down 20. The average S&P stock, by the way, is only down about 3%. So the index 500 companies, the biggest 7 is down 20. Tesla 53, Reddit, MicroStrategy off the back of this news. The unprofitable tech companies, which are like the kind of Palantirs, which are the other names that people want to be in because they're big retail favorites. They're the ones that are getting absolutely swept up at the moment, and that's where the pain is coming from. They're having to forcefully deleverage out of these names and then try and allocate elsewhere.
Which makes sense, right? The Mag 7 gets hit first, liquidity comes out. That's the indices as well, because they make such a big part of the indices. What we are seeing, though, which I am quite pleased to say, is that the defensives, the cyclicals, holding up a lot better, people there.
Yep.
Also, you'll find that on days like yesterday and last week, you'll find that some of the more unloved stocks got hit less hard, and these include some of the solar companies, like I'm just showing up my chart now, Maxion, First Solar, Emeren, Canadian Solar, Sunrun, they were hit less hard. Also, I noticed that Next Energy, one of the big ones in that space as well, was a lone blue yesterday at 7 to 8 p.m. It was yes.
Good for them. Good for them.
So, but still, it is something to behold. I mean, just giving everyone a setup, S&P 500 has risen around 23% last year. We're now seeing, maybe this is a time for reckoning. Just popping up the RSI as well, because after the moves yesterday, just showing you the RSI. I mean, it's not.
That's a monthly RSI though. If you drop it down
daily,
into something like a daily, we are getting pretty oversold at the moment. It's getting pretty overstretched. Now, let's change gears a little bit, just because we're only 10 minutes away from the UK Open. We spoke about defensive just then, and gents, if you just want to drop my screen on here, we talk about the names that are strong in a market like this. So I'm going to filter out, again, we're back to the TradingView stock map, but you can filter out for the names that are looking strong at the moment, or get rid of all the names that are looking weak. And you look at the names that are looking strong. Yesterday, this is, Shell, Unilever, GSK, Rios, Vodafone, shout out Rich, all these names that are typically quite, defensive. United Utilities up 2.4, SVT, which is Severn Trent, Scottish Southern Energy. These names that are typically not that interesting are where the money's going at the moment. So keep an eye on those names, those sectors, utilities, healthcare, energy. We're going to keep an eye on those. Now, we need to talk about what's come out this morning. I'm
loving what you just said, because, guys, this is not planned, but from his heat map, whack up Ange's diversification from last October. Da-da-da-da! And this is my chart here. A lot of the names that Luke has just mentioned: BP, Shell, AstraZeneca, Relics, Diageo now picking up, thankfully, and even National Grid, and of course BAE Systems.
So you diversified by buying the biggest stocks in London.
Yeah, I never ever divvy stocks.
Genius.
But these are the ones that are holding up. They're holding up.
And they are. Yeah. You are right. They are.
Eli Lilly from the US. Maybe it might have. I didn't check yesterday. It might have been whacked.
There was some news about Novo on a drug yesterday, and that got whacked. I haven't got the details.
Oh yes, I know the one that you mentioned. March is sometime end of March is when patents expire for some of the skinny pen type drugs.
Yeah, so a lot of the big Wegovy's, they're going to roll off next March in terms of when they become generics. So expect a bit more on that. I don't have a huge amount of detail on that just yet, but we will probably get to it. Right. My OCD is ticking. We're getting close to the auction. We need to start to think about UK stocks. Andrew McKelvey. Yeah. Okay, no, we're going to have a quick break before we do that, shall we?
Oh,
not now.
Not now.
Fine.
Yes. So,
Sorry.
you're saying Andrew McKelvey?
Yes, Andrew McKelvey, you're looking at Persimmon's results. And I think I read them the same as you. Their pre-tax profit came in at 359 million. And they've entered 2025 with an improved order book. Their dividend is in line, so Persimmon looking pretty good there. So we'll see how they're opening. Have I got any indicative opening calls? I do, up 2% as an indication.
There we
so
are.
Let's see
up 2%.
how they're going. To keep it in the kind of let's keep it in the kind of big kind of industrials space, and Kier Group. Kier Group also came out with numbers this morning. Their pre-tax profit of 50.6 million. Their average debt has been reduced. They've increased their dividend by 20%, and they've said that their second half has started well. So Kier Group are being called up 3%. Now, the reason why I mentioned those two back to back is they're let me just get the details for you. There is a bill going to Parliament today on all things planning and legislation on construction. So I think the UK home builders sector is going to be quite active today. So keep an eye on the Kier, keep an eye on Persimmon when they open, but also the Bellways, Crest Nicholson. The proposals that are being put to the floor aim to deliver 1.5 million homes and 150 major infrastructure projects that are due in 2029. So keep an eye on that.
If you like buybacks, then Kier's the one for you, because Kier's announced a 20% dividend increase and a £20 million share buyback.
20 million?
Yeah, £20 million share buyback is what I'm reading here.
It's tiny, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still, in tumultuous markets.
Well, 20 million, their market cap as of yesterday was 633. So what's that? 8% or so. I mean,
5% sales boost as well, 3% profit growth. So sounding positive there.
Yeah.
Volkswagen, shall we go across to
Volkswagen.
autos? Sales up.
Let's have a little
Here we
look.
are. Let's see. I think producer Fred is saying that we've also got Boohoo out as well. Let's check in on that for you.
If you want to do Volkswagen, I'll check in on Boohoo.
Okay, so Vodafone,
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, everyone. Sales revenue coming in at 324, just over that, billion euros. That was up 0.7%. But the key thing here is that the company says it sees 2025 sales revenue to rise by up to 5% compared to 2024. And I think that was more than expected. Don't forget, Volkswagen here is in a very tough market, as all automakers and their CEOs can tell you. They're being squeezed by people feeling the inflation and not having enough money in the pocket, so they have to keep their models very competitive in terms of pricing. But it also comes in a time when the EV market is being slammed, right? So all that's changing up, no thanks to our neighbors over in the US. Okay, operating profits also falling around 15.4%. Right, Boohoo.
Boohoo, guys, if you want to flick onto my screen here, Debenhams is back. When was the last time you walked into a Debenhams? Boohoo has been rebranded as Debenhams with immediate effect. They've announced a new CFO, Phil Ellis, but the numbers, full year revenue for Boohoo was down 16%. 1.2 billion. They've said that their returns across the group were down 10% year on year. So not amazing. Have I got any early calls?
My first gut feel is, to take on the Debenhams name. I mean, to everyone, Debenhams just means like...
Debenhams isn't cool.
Flog off bed linen.
I know on Gravesend High Street, we used to spend a lot of time in Debenhams shopping for my mum. And I just don't know if that's is that fresh? Is that kind of what this market wants?
Is that Boohoo? I don't think so.
I haven't got any early calls on them, but let me just see if I've got anything in the auction.
Any early calls on Henkel? Because Henkel is also out. Henkel seeing continued sales growth 2025. They're the ones that make Persil and Schwarzkopf as well. We've got 30 to break there. Persil, the maker of Persil, forecasting organic sales growth of up to 3.5%. This is a German consumer goods maker that, of course, its bread and butter is glue, adhesives. Right, let's go to a quick break and we'll be back with the Open.
Planning to make investing your New Year's resolution? IG Invest brings their trading expertise to a brand new, simple and user-friendly app. With zero commission on US stocks, why wait? Download IG Invest today.
To find a list of all your open trades, click on Positions in the sidebar menu on the left. Here, you'll be able to see key information about each of your trades, including the market name, the size of your position, the opening price, the stop order you chose, and your limit order. You'll also be able to see your profit and loss. Positions are normally sorted in descending order of your latest trades. To change how your positions are listed, you can filter your view by clicking on your preferred factor, like which trades are making you the most money, by selecting profit and loss. You can edit your limit order or stop order by clicking on the figure and entering your desired number. Lastly, you can close your open trades by clicking on the Close button next to the relevant trade.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next.
Rise and shine with IG's new morning show, Trade Live with IG, covering all our UK product offerings, including our OTC and exciting new US listed products. Starting in September, join us every weekday from 7:30 to 10 a.m. for exclusive insights from our trade desk, expert trading concepts curated by our friends at tastylive, global guest appearances, and loads of viewer interaction, regular platform feature highlights, and up-to-the-minute market updates. From casual chit-chat to in-depth analysis, we've got your morning covered, live on IG.com. Trading platform. Live IG. Hey, welcome back to Opening Bell with myself and Luke Moore. Let's kick off with some of the upgrades and downgrades first, Luke.
Some upgrades and downgrades. So we have quite a few. Anglo-American cut to a neutral. These are the ones that we've got on the screen. LSE, London Stock Exchange, £130 price target. They've been upgraded at Oddo. We've got Technip, the European oil services business, upgraded to an add, or raised to an add at Alpha Value. Metrobank has been upgraded to a buy with a £1.25 target at Peel Hunt. Technip has also been downgraded to a neutral, but the same price at Citigroup. Lloyd's cut to a market performance 75. I've got some more for you here. Burberry has been raised to an outperform at BNP Exane. We've got Anglo's American have been cut to a neutral at 26, and Glencore has been rated a new buy at Berenberg. So there's lots of bits and pieces going on this morning.
Look, we've got 1 minute to the bell as well, and just taking a look at some of the other ones. We've got Carl Zeiss Meditech. If any one of you trade that, we've got Goldman Sachs raising that to buy from neutral. Citigroup cutting that to neutral from buy. Also Glencore, Andrew Bakilvi, I know you're into your commodities there. Berenberg initiating coverage with a buy rating. Target price now 380p. 20 seconds about. It was such a roller coaster ride overnight. What will this session
Don't
bring?
forget, we've got the US opening in the pre-market at the same time as the UK market. So let's have a quick look at this.
Yeah.
Here is my bell.
Let's count down, people. 2, 1. There we are. We're off to the races. Right, we got just some early snapshots here for you. US Tech 100, just slightly higher, not by a huge amount. Germany 40 up 0.5%. And the US one's ticking slightly higher. FTSE also flat to higher there. Let's have a look at the stocks now. Changing over to the FTSE and taking a look there. Persimmon coming out strong, up 4.6% there. And also, was it IAG? Okay, IAG is down 4 there.
Yeah, let's have a look at the top performers so far in the UK this morning. London Stock Exchange. Now, there was a story that we didn't cover. The London Stock Exchange have just been upgraded, as we saw, but there's also been a consortium of business owners looking to potentially bid for the AIM market. So the AIM high growth section, the small cap stock market. So I wonder whether that's having an impact there. That's up 6%. Persimmon up 5.5%. The story that we broke to you just before the market opened was Boohoo being rebranded as Debenhams.
Yeah.
But that 15 to 16% effective profit warning, they're down 7%, trading 27 pence at the moment. 26 pence.
I could have told you that with a name change like that. Ooh, bog off bed linen is what I think first when anyone says Debenhams. Bog off.
Yeah, bed linen. And
Yeah, interesting. Right, Taylor Wimpey down up 1.6. Barrett Redrow, UK house builders having a good time there at the moment. BAE Systems RSAX up 0.4%. Let's have a look at more of the losers. Intercontinental, they're down almost 1.6%.
My Scottish mortgage just cannot catch a bid at the moment.
Oof.
It's the US tech. It's effectively the UK tech name. A lot of the companies it's got are in the Nasdaq, so I'm not surprised. But I'm just not catching a bid at all at the moment.
Is Emma going to have words with you about
We actually had some words yesterday. Yeah.
Rolls-Royce, even Rolls-Royce not able to withstand the fluctuations in the market, down slightly today. I don't think there's any other news that's pulling Rolls-Royce down, not that I've seen anyway. But let's have a look at the German stocks as well. Let's go where we are. Germany 40. Right. You want to take us through the winners there?
Yeah, let's have a look. So Siemens and Heidelberg at the top of the pops. This is clearly still continuing on from this infrastructure bill that's been spoken about. How Volkswagen doing? Volkswagen not too bad, up 1.4%. So that's not too bad, up €1.50 there. That's dragging up the BMWs, the Mercedes and the Porsches. So that's not too bad. Henkel, we are seeing as not open
as
yet.
yet. Volkswagen, these moves, they're coming after, quite a mixed outlook, but it seems like traders liking the slightly more positive news. They're proposing a dividend of €6.30 a share. Despite that, still the shares are up, despite the dividend is 30% lower compared to the previous year. Let's have a look at some of the losers there, Luke.
Keygen, Daimler, SAP, Rheinmetall. I mean, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a loser. Look, it's even started at 0. Keygen, see what they have been up to. So Keygen in Germany, have there been any news on that? Let's just see.
BASF, one of the good defensive stocks, also down 0.75%. And interesting to see that Merck and Co are also, it's up slightly now. So let's have a look elsewhere. France, did you say?
Let's have a little look.
Hey, let's have a look. Cacaron up now. Got Vivendi, top of the pops there, up 1.2%. Thales also on the winners list, and Bouygues as well, up 0.5%. Renault up a third, up a third of a percent there, perhaps being dragged up slightly by Volkswagen, because I don't think I've seen anything on Renault so far. Which was the stock that you were talking about, France? Here we are. Air France down 3.6% there, and it has had a bit of a spike in the previous sessions, but it looks like we're giving back those gains now.
Yeah, for me, I think this is just we've got IAG we've just looked at, Air France we've looked at. This is, I think, all as a result of Delta Airlines last night.
Yeah.
So they came out with their numbers. They slashed their first quarter revenue and specifically their outlook. So they were down 16% after hours yesterday. We can also take a look at how they're trading in the US pre, because that's just opened up.
No, I love this early all sessions.
It's nice. You can just rattle straight through.
Yeah, look, down 10% there.
Down 10%, which is a bounce from last night, you'd argue, trading $45. So, yeah, that's one to keep an eye on, but it's clearly just being felt across the rest of the airline industry. Now, Persimmon is holding on to its gains, now trading 12.28. That's up 5%. So Persimmon doing really well. Well noted, Andrew McKelvey on the open just there. Barrett's, Taylor Wimpey, and Barclay Group all at the top of the performance on the FTSE 100. So that kind of positive outlook is being felt across the rest of the home builders there, and clearly some optimism about this bill that's going to be coming through this morning. So if you want to I'll just take a look at these Persimmons in more detail. So they've said that for the first 9 weeks of 2025, their private sales was up 14% compared to the same time last year. They've said that their forward order book to privates, i.e. people buying homes, that is 27% higher year on year. And they're targeting further growth and returns across 2025 and improved operating margin. So really quite positive news there, which is a bit of a bucking the trend in terms of what we hear from everybody about the housing market and not being able to buy homes and everything like this. So it looks okay.
And whacking up the my UK house builders and related stocks watch list here, it is looking like overall a pretty good day for the house builders out there. Barrett, Redrow, Taylor Wimpey, Bellway are up, and the FTSE 350 household goods and home index also higher there. Just taking a look at HSBC, so we've got some questions coming in on the chat there. Max asking, why is HSBC falling so much? This could be a bit to do with what we saw overnight. Also, not forgetting, Max, that we have seen HSBC recently having more management shakeups. Not sure whether you're aware, but the city, especially the big banks, have been speeding up. It should actually impact the share price positively, but it all has to work through the system yet. And so it takes a bit of time there.
I just think the banks have been doing so well recently.
Yeah.
And now they're just looking a little bit, potentially looking a little bit overbought and just a little bit of profit taking. I think for me more, it's about this kind of European banking sector versus the US banking sector. And Europe is down. The only one you can really look at in the States so far is JP Morgan, and they're up smalls. So financials in the US are doing quite well. Financials in the UK have been doing quite well. But there's just a bit of a selling pressure with the rest of the market at the moment.
There is the incoming second half as well, where I think banks are going to suffer a bit more, because that R word is coming back, right? That creeping back into the vocabularies of people both sides the Atlantic, an economy that is not stable, not
I still
great
think
for banks.
I still think that this is all part of the game, and Trump's trashing the market to
Art of the deal.
It's one way to look at this is the knock-on effect of tariffs mean that you've seen people importing their goods, all the people that need supplies, everything, the part of the supply chain, everybody's been importing, which we've seen, which is why the GDP now figure out of Atlanta has been so negative over the past couple of weeks. If that then shakes out into the rest of the market, do you then get some emergency rate cuts, which is ultimately, I think, what Trump wants. And as I said, look, he's got 6 months to play this game, and then he can cut rates, which is currently scheduled to start, I believe, in September. 3 rate cuts this year now, and then we can kind of continue to keep motoring on. So, yeah, it's a game of chicken at the moment.
It's a dangerous game.
It's a dangerous game of chicken, and it's an expensive game of chicken, if that is the right way to think about it. One thing that we didn't notice that has opened now, Henkel. They came out with their results. They announced a €1 billion buyback, and they're down 7%. So just trying to see if there's anything in the forward guidance there. But a defensive name in Germany, an adhesives business, which you would expect potentially has some kind of benefit from the infrastructure bill because Heidelberg Materials has been doing so well, but down 7%. So not a particularly positive outlook for those just yet.
Do you know that most people use Henkel but don't know it? Use Henkel.
Why do I use Henkel? What's in it? Sticky notes?
Because their
Sellotape?
adhesives are used to glue phones together.
Is that right?
Yeah. And their adhesives are so strong that they're using.
I think you're going to say like, VO5 or something
the
like
Luke
that.
hair. That's why it's got such hold hair, No, mobile phones, jokes aside, because it means that they can build and help their customers build lighter.
Right.
And so, it's a really good stock, very defensive. Andrew McKilvey piping in. Morning, Andrew. Barclays, Lloyds. Yes, also down. We're talking about banks earlier. Do chime in to tell us which side of the fence you sit on. Is it the Trump's out of the deal, or is it a dangerous game? Are we seeing the economy and the markets now capitulate, and actually banks are going to have a really torrid second half?
If you want to just pop my screen up, I've said a couple of times about my client of mine that I follow that looks at all the different banks. So you've got reading left to right, Barclays, Lloyds, NatWest on here with the daily candle with the minute by minute candlestick on top and your dailies on the bottom. And if you just look at those bottoms, we're coming off highs. You'd argue there NatWest is kind of pulling back into this area of chop, this area of support. Lloyds look like it's got potentially area to run back down into 60p as the next level of support, and Barclays, again, 260, 270, we're at 279. So, I'd argue that from a technical perspective to kind of funnel my inner axle, it's just a pullback into trend until these things break. So, we are selling off, but let's have a quick, let's not jump the gun, so to speak.
Let's move on to US all sessions now, because as Luke gave us a gentle reminder earlier, and I really, really like this. Can't we make this forever?
It's nice. Do you know what I like about it? It's that the market closes early.
Yeah, and
So
the
we can go
all
home early.
sessions, we have it earlier on. We have it here, but it's only until the end of this month, isn't it?
Yeah, the last Sunday of the month when we swap. I think it's the 30th of March. We change our clocks, and then everything kicks back into normality.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the all sessions here on my list. Let's have a look. So here we go. New top of the list. They're up 7.8%. Luke, you want to take us through some of the others there?
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to discount Neo, Alcoa in the cold trade. That's interesting. For me, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, now they're interesting. Of course, MicroStrategy with the news about the capital raise yesterday, $22 billion that they're raising now to buy, for business operations and buying Bitcoin. The business operations on this thing, it hasn't had any revenue for years, so it's basically just a Bitcoin holding company now. So that seems to be bouncing. Tesla trading 227 now, that seems to be bouncing. Moderna's back up there. ASML, now ASML signed a research pact with a Belgian university this morning. There was no numbers mentioned, no kind of revenues, but it was just a nice kind of story there to keep an eye on.
Just taking a look at the losers as well. Before we get to that, Tesla now up 2% there. So Musk going, phew. We had Oracle's earnings yesterday as well. Of course, that's a big one. And
Yeah.
Oracle just giving you a highlight, top of the pops here. Cloud revenue, because Oracle is a lot about cloud. Total cloud at SaaS and IaaS was $6.2 billion, up 25%. And the cloud services and license support revenue, something that they're also pushing a lot over there, is one of their big revenue streams, up 12%. What did you make of the Oracle numbers?
I mean, down 7.2% to close the after hours, now down 1.6.
Yeah.
So
They didn't like.
Is the
like
concern?
any of them.
No, the concern I have is we've got to wait till the main market opens up. If you look at the way that the stocks have been trading in recent weeks, it's fairly benign till the US Open, and then consistent selling pressure, and then a bounce into the open is the pattern that we've been seeing. For me, that is algorithmic selling. The machines switch on at 2:30, 1:30 now, sell, and then anybody that's day traded it covers into the close. For me, that's what you want to keep an eye on. So all of these pre-market moves, you can't work algorithms in the pre-market. So the companies that we use to trade algorithms, you can only use them in the main market. So I'd always be a little bit aware of these pre-market moves, but things are being bounced. Things are getting bought a little bit. Actually, I've just noticed the banks are turned around. So NatWest is now bouncing, as are Lloyds, as are Barclays. So just one to keep an eye on. Where are HSBC? Are they bouncing too? HSBA is the ticker there. They're off their lows as well. Low of 841, now trading 846. So that's one to keep an eye on.
For those of you trading airlines as well, I'm glad we talked about the bifurcation too, because it's not just banks, but airlines as well. If you trade the space, there is a bifurcation between European and US airlines. If you're trading US airlines...
Hang on, bifurcation? That's a great word, though.
Thank you.
It's a great word. What does it mean? What does it mean?
It means split out in trend in terms of thematics.
Okay.
So in terms of oil majors, thank you for the applause. The gallery.
We just had to come back in on
so
that.
If you talk about bifurcation in the oil sector, before the whole Trump thing, the European oil majors, the BPs, right, and Shell, they went down the beyond petroleum. We're going to invest in renewables, whereas the Chevrons, the ExxonMobils went to moonshot. We're still going to dig and do what we're really good at and continue doing, keep calm and carry on. But we're going to maybe put a tiny bit of money in carbon capture, right? And guess who has won the bet right now, right?
Yeah, completely.
Delta and the US airlines versus European airlines, if you trade the space, you need to know that there is a bifurcation there too. And this is in terms of demand, because we're now seeing demand being hit more in the US we saw Delta Airlines, right, saying this, softer close in demand. After all of that revenge travel that we saw in play, we're starting in the US to see fatigue of that start first.
Do you know my other favourite word at the moment?
Oh, go on then.
Dichotomy.
Oh!
Dichotomy, when you say the same thing, but it's got two different meanings.
I learned it. Any cool terms here, please put them. My favorite this week is puke out into the markets. Mitch McDonald. This is a new name on the list. This guy on the left is less handsome. I love it. Where the young guy? Monkey Man. Oh, whoa.
Mothering Sunday on Sunday the 30th. Well, that's true. That's when the clocks change.
Thank you for that reminder. Let's have a look at defense stocks, because we are now in that place where...
Let's have a little look.
Bring up my list here. Rheinmetall up 2.5%. Hensoldt, I've gone a bit too far. There we are. Hensoldt up 4.3% there. BAE Systems are now turning up very well, up 1.7%. I believe it was up just a touch earlier when we were checking. RSAC's hoping you still maintained your holding in BAE and didn't take all of it off, because if you held on to it, well done you. Thales, I learned something yesterday as well. Thales is actually the name of a person. I thought it was just a name of this company.
It's a Greek god or something.
Yes, a Greek god. Yes, well remembered. I'm very impressed. Right, let's have a look at Rolls-Royce as well, because Rolls-Royce.
Well, let's just flicking back to those home builders. So Persimmon's coming back a little bit now, trading 12.13. That's up 3%, 3.5, as opposed to the near 5. So that's peeling back just a little bit there. But BAE Systems, following these German defensive names higher, they're trading up 1.8% now. On the bottom of the UK stock market, not surprising to see EasyJet down there. Interestingly, IHG, potentially some read across on the Delta Airlines kind of downgrade of outlook. You know, if there's an issue with the travel sector and there's an issue with affordability, which you tend to see when they start mentioning that R word, that recession word, they are at the bottom of the pops, down 2% so far. How are our Boohoo's getting on, or our Debenhams? Our
Oh, don't call it
really
Debenhams.
exciting.
Oh, that's it. I'm going to refuse. I'm going to refuse to call it Debenhams.
I don't know what's going to be more embarrassing, saying that you shop at Boohoo or saying that you shop at Debenhams.
I know.
Sorry, embarrassing is the wrong word.
even.
It's a very specific subset of the
Here
market
we are.
that requires there.
Boohoo, this is the daily chart there. Well, it doesn't seem to have helped its share price at all. Surprise, surprise there. But Boohoo in itself, I think it really needs a revamp of its business model, because they have been really hurting with the whole crazy returns and the cost of handling returns. And they were trying to shake that up last year, but I don't know whether they actually went through with it, because they were being inundated. There were reports that they were actually throwing away stock because they were overwhelmed by returns from people who had bought at Boohoo. And they're just chucking stock away, throwing it because it's...
You can't be doing that these days. You can't be doing that, not in this new kind of, in the green economy, in the way that we want to try and be, you know, as effective as possible. So it'd be interesting to see how they turn that around. But look, 16% down, rebranding. I'm surprised it's not weaker, actually, only down 1%, 0.7%. So let's see how that goes through. Just flicking back into the US, we've got Nvidia now at the top of the Dow Jones in terms of the stocks there. Nvidia now up 1%, which, you know, again, we haven't seen that for a little while.
Come on, bounce back.
Well, just look at your kind of very basic technical analysis here. That level that we saw back in September is so key. Okay, because look, it was tested there once. It was tested there in August, which, if you remember, was the Japanese yen carry trade low. We are not far away from that now. What's that going to be? $5 or $6? Yeah. You know, we broke that 113 support. We're now looking at previous support. So, you know, that $100 round number. It's interesting. I always find the psychology of this fascinating, because...
And the round numbers as well, how they, like, it's like a magnet.
Right?
Well, and if we hit that and continue lower, then, you know, then we're looking back at August levels, right?
Yeah, but it's always one where you say, well, if you loved it at 130, you'll really love it now at $100. And that's what you will naturally get towards. And that's why it pays to be small and it pays to be nimble. Because what you're starting to find is there will be some very high quality businesses on sale. And so it's at what point does this tempt people back in to step in and buy these? You know, if you believe in the story with NVIDIA, if you believe in the story of AI, you're getting it nearly 30% off. If you believe in the story of Palantir, if you believe in the story of, you know, using AI to kind of into defense and technology and everything that comes with it, you're getting it nearly 50% off. Same story with Tesla. You know, if you believe that autonomous driving is going to be the real deal and it's going to stick around forever, you're getting these assets a lot cheaper than you have historically. But what you have is this fear that drives the markets at the moment. You know, I would personally be happier to start to buy this market if we've made 1 or 2 green candles. You know, we're not going to see this immediately snap back, in my opinion. But what you might see, if you start to see these higher lows made, if you maybe test some support once or twice, that to me is a much more positive sign that there are buyers stepping in, and people are getting a bit more confidence back.
And when you say green candles, just quantify it, because we've got lots of trader friends that trade different time frames. So some trade, I know Adam likes the 10 minutes, some others like the daily, others like, you know, checking all 3. But when you say, you know, 2 or 3 candles, do you mean daily?
I mean daily, yeah. Because I think you need to you need to take the immediate chop out of it, right? If in doubt, zoom out, which is such a great mantra. You know, if you see that you've got a couple of daily closes higher than the previous, if one of those daily closes is above a level where it's just shanked through and has become a level of support that you can start to rely on, because at the moment, how do you put a stop on something like Nvidia? You know, do you buy it and put a stop below 100? Maybe, but then if it shanks through 100, where do you go next? Well, you're looking back at, you know, 80 potentially. So where do you put your stop loss? And that has to be the first question that we ask ourselves. Where do we put our stop loss?
And in markets as volatile as these, it has to be quite loose, or you have to be really on it and not leave the screen, right? And watch it on extremely volatile, you know, sessions that we've seen so far. But you're right. I almost think with a stock like Nvidia, you almost need to, in your mind, know where you're happy to go in on, right? And after you see several green candles, you just go in on it. Because to me, on days like we've seen recently, this is a shopping opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Easter and Monkey Man, it is a great question. So the question that we've just seen on the chat is, how do you distinguish between a bounce and a bull trap? And I think it's time, and I think it's strength. I think what we need to realize is you're not going to pick the bottom. It's just impossible. It's not impossible. There's only going to be one tick that's the bottom. But if you get a sustained maybe 2 or 3 days worth of buying pressure, and you start to see maybe the dollar's making some bottoming, maybe the VIX is peeling off. If you start to see 3 or 4 things that put the picture together for you, not just that one specific market that you're watching, that's when you get a bit more confidence.
Yeah, and we've got 30 seconds ago. You had a picture, I believe. Isar.
I did find it, Isar. So if you're still watching, hang on, if you could just pop up mine.
He is going to, whilst he's looking for that picture, I'm just going to show you the Tech 100. Here we go. You got it? Oh my God. Is that the face mask you were talking? You look like...
That is Sunday night. Yeah, getting my face mask action in. Friday night, actually. Yeah, Friday late. Yeah.
That, you make like Phantom of the Opera look good there.
I think I've just destroyed whatever street cred I had, but it was on my Instagram, so there you go.
There you go, people. If you want to know what is the secret behind the oil of Luke skin, it is that mean baby that you just saw on air that made you look like the Iron Man. Or...
It was like a weird version between Iron Man and Darth Vader, I think it was.
Mature says Iron Man, and Easter says thank you as well. Yeah, so we've got some Matt Arber coming up next. Any questions in terms of, volatility, where we're headed after this? Do slam them on the chat here. But otherwise, always a pleasure having you on, Luke. It was wonderful going on. It was like a dream, because really when markets are like this,
there's always something to talk about.
Yeah. All right, we have Ronnie with us tomorrow as well. So all fun and games. Do put your questions here, and I will get it asked to them. Or you can. I told Ronnie that we could put another chair in all
3 of us.
Yeah. Woof. All right. On that note, we'll see you with Matt Arber next.
See you later.
Welcome to the exciting world of options trading. If you're looking to add a new dimension to your trading strategy, you're in the right place. Options trading offers unique benefits that can elevate your investing game. With options, you can protect your portfolio against market downturns, essentially creating an insurance policy for your investments. Now, what sets us apart is our commitment to your success. We provide extensive educational content to help you understand options trading inside and out. And with our 24-hour servicing, support is always just a call away. But that's not all. Options also allow you to generate income from your existing positions. Strategies like covered calls let you profit even when your stocks aren't making big moves. Options also shine when the market isn't following a clear direction, whether prices are rising, falling, or staying flat. There's always an option strategy you can use to potentially benefit. Now, we offer 2 ways to trade options: listed options for US shares, ETFs and futures, and over-the-counter options through spread bets and CFDs. Both types give you the ability to take various market positions. So, ready to explore the potential of options trading? Well, open an account today and take your first steps into this dynamic market. Remember, while options trading can be rewarding, it comes with risks. Always trade within your means and never risk more than you can afford to lose.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next.
Fundamental analysis is a method of evaluating assets to assess what their prices should be. It's based on the principle that every asset has a real fair value, which may be very different to its current price. It assumes that markets will naturally correct to reflect these fair values over time. The aim is to discover assets that are currently underpriced or overpriced, then place trades to profit from the expected correction if it materializes. Now, unlike a technical analysis that focuses on price charts, a detailed fundamental analysis would look at everything that could drive future price movements. The technique is most commonly used to scrutinize the price of shares, where annual reports, industry trends, and a company's management team may form part of an overall assessment. However, fundamental analysis can be used to review the price of an asset. A commodity like oil, for example, could be evaluated on the basis of economic data, regulation, brand recognition, geopolitical factors, and technical specification, among other factors. But while fundamental analysis is often said to be more comprehensive than technical analysis, it may not give you the full picture. For one thing, it's generally only useful for identifying long-term trends, whereas a technical analysis can help find short-term opportunities. For this reason, it's often a good idea to combine elements of both types to get the most accurate view of a market's direction. To learn more about fundamental analysis, join IG Academy today. It's completely free and gives you access to dozens of trading topics.
Planning to make investing your New Year's resolution? IG Invest brings their trading expertise to a brand new, simple and user-friendly app. With zero commission on US stocks, why wait? Download IG Invest today.
Are you ambitious? A future leader? Do you think big and raise the bar? If that sounds familiar, IG wants you. We're a global fintech and we offer graduate schemes for the ambitious. You'll see everything as you rotate across the business, building your skills and knowledge as you go. Kickstart your career as a future leader at IG, the home of the ambitious.
Hey, welcome back. And it is myself and Matt Albert for Trade Expectations.
Morning, Ange. How are you?
I am exhausted.
Another long day yesterday in the markets. Yeah.
Long day.
Unrelenting.
Max this morning was grunting as we were both at the coffee machine. Some of the PCMs said, who were on the late shift, said that the number of calls that surged yesterday evening was unbelievable. A lot of people stopped out, closed out, but also this is where the action is. We have a high volatility.
At least the market shut at 8 p.m. UK time, hey?
However, are we going to? I mean, the next few days. This is the crystal ball question.
Well, these are those crucial sessions, aren't they? Like, when does confidence come in? The market. It's an interesting one. traders have been waiting for Trump to ride in and save the market with some more comments, and he's been conspicuously absent. The narrative, since November, has been this is a president who likes to talk about equity markets, who judges himself against the performance of the S&P, and consistently over the past few weeks we've seen this flip-flopping in response to trading activity. And the last 4 or 5 days he's been on the sidelines. It's almost back to the tariffs are coming, and I'm not going to roll back, and you're going to have to sit back and reassess traders have to sit back and reassess what this actually means, rather than an expectation that everything is good and that the federal government will come and do something to help your positions. It's an interesting time. Good to see that Asia didn't really take flight overnight, or take fright overnight. When we've seen some of the really aggressive sell-offs historically, that has been the catalyst, the sharp move down in the US, followed by an even sharper move down in Asia. At the moment, a lot of this seems contained. It's parochial. The US is the world market, but there's not a contagion as such. This is just some might say a healthy bout of profit taking. We are back to just below where we were in November before Trump came in. But it's the fact that we've not been used to these sustained down moves.
We've not been used to being beaten around like this for some time. And also, following from what you said about Asia, I'm also happy to see that we are seeing quite a lot of stabilization already 35 minutes in. And taking a look at the chart here, just whacking that up for you, if I may, we saw a lot more reds earlier on, but we're now creeping further into the black territory. And some of the ones that were, down a lot earlier, like the AI index and also some of the big names, they're all kind of coming up to neutral territory now.
Well, it's one of these. Always, one's going to say there are always going to be people looking for bargains. There has been a sharp move. It depends on sort of that critical mass of momentum. And momentum is everything in these markets. It's as Luke was saying earlier, it's very hard to catch a bottom. It's very hard to pick a top. But perhaps that change of sentiment, getting on the wave of a change of sentiment, is where one wants to go. That we have to remember that there's no real new news driving this market. This is all known knowns. There's no unknown here. Tariffs were talked about before Trump came in. Tariffs are still there. They just might actually happen. There's nothing new. We're at the back end of earnings season. All the earnings are out. Everything's on the table.
Yeah.
So it's almost we're clean again. What are the stories? What are people looking for to drive the market? There was no new news story really last week to change things.
Which brings us perfectly to my next question, which is, we talk a lot about this market noise, market panic. In fact, Tasty, Tom and Bat last night did a special segment on profiting from market panic. How do traders, navigate this space? I mean, back in the time when, if you're at home on your own looking at the screen, it just looks like any other, just numbers on screens, right? Whereas if you're on the pit, if it's open outcry, you can hear that tension, right, coming. If you're here on the trading floor, as I'm walking towards you guys, I'm already clocking. What does Matt's hair look like today? His body language. Elliot Harris, what is he doing?
Well, we know Elliot's hair looks like.
But he's in front of you, so I'm kind of like trying to peer there, and then I'm scanning the PCMs. Are they sitting or are they standing, right? So you can actually feel the pain. You can feel that tension, but it's really hard when you're sat at home on your own and just looking at a screen. That you can.
Well, come on. First things first. That you need to. If you're looking to profit, if you think a clear head. You're not, this is a day's position. You're not thinking about whatever you've got sat there, your positions you've been sat on for a while. You've got a long, short choice. You don't get hung up that you have to buy. The market's going down. This doesn't mean you have to buy. You're not always looking for a dip. A lot of the opportunities are the fact that momentum takes hold of markets, the follow through. That how many days have you seen individual stocks close at their highs or close at their lows? These, the continuation, the follow through of a move. So that tends to be sort of the main way that people would look. It's to ride that kind of momentum. That picking a point of inflection is much harder than saying, it's been going this direction. It's likely to continue going in this direction. And then it comes down to a disciplined game.
Exactly.
The volatility is high. You've got to expect it's not going to be plain sailing, but that tolerance, smaller position size, greater. Put the same amount of money in, the same risk reward ratio, just on a smaller position.
Yeah, that's totally right. And smaller position, and also
Helps to
making
reduce
sure
your risk if you use it correctly.
they were playing Axel's voice there on the sound box. But just whacking up my chart really quickly. Lots of people have been asking me, and what is with the golden lines on the US Tech 100? This is the 1 minute chart yesterday, and what I was looking for was a reversal. But these yellow lines, or these golden lines, show me where to enter and when to put the next leg in, right? Put the next leg in. But the moment it turns against me, and I don't think it's, things are not looking good, then there's a wonderful function on your positions list that allows you to close all legs in one fell swoop. And that is what you want to do during volatile times. Don't try and leg it out, people. Just close it out, because you want to make sure you don't get caught out. Monkey Man chiming in there. Monkey Man, good morning. Have you got a cup of coffee? I'm on my first espresso. I need at least 3 more with Matt Arbour here. Monkey Man asking, what process does Matt do for a guide for a potential bottom?
Well, as I said bottom picking is
about
a very
10 times already this morning.
Lots of talk of bottoms. Bottom picking is a difficult game. It's the concept of something being oversold is often talked about. Now, I think if you're looking for bottoms in a market like this, I think the opportunities, and does not constitute trading advice. There's a broad-based sell-off in tech that is dragging lots of other stuff lower. Now, there might be names you have in your portfolio, things you've looked at for a while that are not directly related. They're not AI names, but have been dragged lower in the sort of the general malaise of the markets. This is possibly where some of the easier bottom picking opportunities are. Something that has trended lower with the general market rather than being a specific, you can relate to. And Nvidia is a separate story. The Coinbase, the MicroStrategy, separate story. Tesla, separate story. Look at industrial stocks that have come lower at the same time. Anything else. I can't think of a single example off the top of my head of a blue chip, but everyone has stuff in stocks that people like are sat in their portfolio, and that the price action, you've seen it because you've watched it every day, and that's opportunity. This isn't part of this bigger story. Perhaps it's a defensive stock that's been dragged low. We saw a lot of utilities in the UK come off quite sharply at the back end of last week. Technically, those are defensive. They've just been pulled low as the index trackers are generating their trades against the market. These are the kind of things. Trying to pick the bottom on Nvidia is perhaps is the high stake stuff. Yes, you might be getting a 5%, 7% bounce in a day, but equally, this is where the story is. This is where people are taking the more aggressive profits. So perhaps look away from those headline stocks, the real big movers, the things that have moved slightly less, that you feel are just being caught up as part of the wider sell-off. That's
a good point, actually, because I noticed yesterday it was such a broad sell-off. But those companies, like for example, the big goats of the data center energy play, some of them weren't hit as hard. They were being hit, but not hit as hard. And that would be a good time to pick up these stocks. Defense stocks were hit as well for no reason other than liquidity just going whoosh.
And defence stocks have seen a very good run up. You know, this is it's the you know what is the fair value of these stocks. Yes, everyone's in hindsight, oh, defence stocks are undervalued for ages. Now, you know, we've seen 20%, 30% on some of these things in a couple of days, even more, you know, and whatever Rhine Metal has done. You know, these are very large moves. People are taking some money off the table, and also the reason often is it's this knock-on effect. People have the large cap tech in their portfolio that has been well above water, making a lot of money. Perhaps it's a case, I'll close out some of my industrials for these sexier stocks to top up my portfolio of those. So it's a reallocation of money sometimes that is leading to other things being sold and dragging them lower rather than the specific story.
Lots of people have different ways, and I like this. I wish I could use it mainstream, but I haven't found. I'm still working on it. But everyone has their own way of calculating fair value. And I was talking to Andy Gavin about this yesterday because he holds Nvidia, he holds Palantir, he also holds Okta, which is one stock that I like. Also has got the nuclear power play because the thought process is that the world's going to need ever increasing amounts of energy, but you know, with it's going to be modular, and that play is like, well, perhaps it could be small nuclear modular. But we talk about fair value, and we were discussing how it's a different method for each different person. I mean, how do you look to see if something is of fair value now? I mean, I wish I could transform this onto mainstream, like, you know, if I'm getting the services of a plumber for a job I can't do, what's fair value, right? Is there in the trading world, what is your way of calculating?
Well, I think it's probably easier to calculate with a plumber, but
I don't know. They always make that.
It's a facet of your time and difficulty and what the repair looks like afterwards. You know, we'll sit there, like to sit back and look at a PE ratio. You know, and again, we always talk about Nvidia with stocks with high PE ratios.
That's why I think
it's, you know, it's always a surprise to people how low some of the ratios are on something like an Apple or an Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
However, but which is, you know, that easy iteration. Are you in the market again, not looking at tech, but at some of those sort of longer holds? You know, what's the implied dividend yield after this move? You know, you're pretty sure the earnings are solid on some of these names. You know, it's just an opportunity to get yourself a better dividend yield with the lower price. Everyone has their own metric. You know, for much of trading, it's all about the day you're not looking to hold. It's not a fair value. It is a momentum thing. This concept of the stock is up 3%. It's probably more likely to finish the day up 5% than go back to flat on the day. Yeah, probably. Again, doesn't constitute trading advice, but momentum.
There's all probabilities here.
Very much the thing here.
The VIX, you know, yet again, another thing that always never fails to drive conversation. Everyone's got a different idea of, you know, where constitutes fear for them. This is often called the fear index, which we saw it surge to the highest close since August 2024. Is this any reason?
August 2024, and that we're talking about August the 5th, 2024.
Yeah.
When obviously we peaked out at whatever numbers at 30, 35, 36. Of course, the VIX can be very reactive. This is that people like talking about the VIX because you often get the spikes in the VIX because you know, it's sort of a fairly standard yield play. People like to sell the VIX to take the, you know, sort of writing insurance in sort of an option squared manner. It's
I think the saying as well is you always short the VIX. There's a saying like that, right?
Yeah. It is, you know, the old picking pennies up under steamrollers kind of thing. You know, you keep on getting it until you get squashed. But is the VIX the best representation? I think if you're looking at the money US S&P vol, which has really gone up in the past 2 weeks. This is over more than doubled, sort of about 2.5 yesterday. Sort of a daily S&P vol was in the high 40s, approaching 50. This is the number that was languishing sort of low teens 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's this real step up in intraday volatility that is out there, rather than, you know, again, it depends what time horizon people are looking at, but this concept that intraday moves are really, really pronounced at the moment.
Yeah, it's still in the 40s. Let's have a look a bit further out. This is the US 500 there. You can easily get that on your screen to the left on the menu bar by pressing option.
Let's just think what this is. You know, articulating. So if we looking at the money for the daily or for whatever thing, you know, these aren't just abstract numbers. If you take the at the money straddle, so we sum the put and the call at the strike where the current market is, that is a reflection of how much the market is expecting that index to move. So a net change on the day. Now, I think I looked last night on the Dow, and I know like the Dow is something sort of an eclectic index to look at, but the market is pricing over 500 points move today. That's an intraday move of 500 points. Sort of similar numbers on the NAS.
Out of curiosity,
so,
why did you look at the Dow?
It's just
What?
I just hung up on it. I think it's an odd one. In the UK, we've always looked at the Dow, and the Dow is a number that one feels more of an affinity with than the S&P. I don't know why. It's an eccentric. You talk to people from America, they think you're mad even referencing the Dow.
I don't understand. For me, it's like the NASDAQ, then the S&P, then the Dow. Right?
Yeah, and many UK traders still want to trade the Dow. This is
Interesting. Yeah, let's have a look at the NASDAQ as well, and to see.
But kind of these where I'm referencing these, this is kind of showing the surprise element. This is the expected move. This is kind of the market's fair move. Moves bigger than that are the unexpected ones. So should we be surprised if we, you know, come on tomorrow and the market moved 500 points again yesterday? That was the expected move.
And just talk our trader friends who are not, you know, averse with checking ahead of, you know, the markets, looking at these options. You know, just give them a sense of what you're likely to see normally when we don't have these wild swings, for example.
Well,
so this is the Tech 100. This is the NASDAQ. And so do you want to go back to the Dow? I don't mind. Do you want to go back to the Dow?
Well, I think
go back to the Dow so Matt feels comfortable.
What we're seeing here is that these straddles are about 2.5 times higher.
Okay, so here we are.
Start of the day straddle, about 2.5 times higher than where we were, you know, 3 weeks ago. So this concept of the expectation of over 500 point moves on the Dow, whatever index you're looking at, these we're talking a multiple of what we're expecting. So, but a shift in volatility throughout the day is perhaps more interesting. This concept when markets exceed the expected move, it's almost you know, we're going in this week with CPI. The market will be expecting a bigger move on CPI. The difference between the relative difference with vols this high already on what the start of day CPI volatility is compared to, say, last month's CPI when we were sat in a much lower volatility environment. So the starting volatility on CPI day on the Dow or the S&P might have been 4 times the prevailing. At the moment, you know, this week when it comes in with underlying volatility so high, one wouldn't expect anything like that multiple. Maybe you're talking 25% more, 30% more, because we're already in this high volatility environment.
Gotcha.
So that step up is not nearly so great.
Gotcha. You know, we're also seeing a bit of a bounce back for those Bitcoin related names that were tracking not just Bitcoin weakness, but also the chaos in the markets yesterday. But Coinbase is showing that to you because we got all sessions. until the end of March. Thank you, Monkey Man. Until Mother's Day, we got all sessions available to us 1 hour early. But you know, Coinbase, MicroStrategy.
Well, let's just look at some of these numbers and the moves in such a short time. Well, after Coinbase's results, what we traded about 310, I think, in the after hours post Coinbase's results, and what we're trading 17 handle on Coinbase at points last night. So that's almost 50% in a month. You know, which is a much larger move than has happened on the on a Bitcoin, a headline Bitcoin sort of. I know Ethereum and some of the smaller coins have had much bigger moves, but these stocks, which on the way up were tracking in greater multiples, have suffered commensurately on the way down. Yeah, we've been seeing MicroStrategy moving 10% almost every day last week. Again, we all knew these stocks weren't for the faint-hearted to trade, and they're now. But
I mean, really, the last few sessions just took the lift down, basically. But you're right, it's had such a move, higher. We've also got quite a number of people here talking about Tesla this morning. Just very quickly before we go, how much time we got, Cam? We've got 30 seconds. Tesla, let's have a look at what it's doing right now, because of course it plunged yesterday.
Well, interestingly, Tesla's one of these, just from client facing, you always expected to see people coming to buy the dips on Tesla. That's much less the case at the moment. The appetite for Tesla as the stock has kind of waned.
Is it, do you think, down to a repricing of the company is now being judged like a normal company, or is it just the fact that the musketeers are getting slightly knocked, or very knocked, now that their chief has gone off to,
I think,
taking his focus away?
Perhaps there's part of that, but fundamentally, now that everyone, it's an easier story to understand electric cars. I think for a lot of people, they've seen BYDs on the road. They know that there is a clear competitor there and a low-cost competitor.
Yeah. And on that note, I saw 2 BYDs last weekend here in the UK. So interesting times. I still haven't been invited to my test drive yet. And on that note, thank you so much for coming on that. It's always a pleasure. I'll let you guys know. Sometimes they message me and go, what is their posture right now? And sometimes I go and have a look. All right, we'll see you right after this break.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next.
Rise and shine with IG's new morning show, Trade Live with IG. Covering all our UK product offerings, including our OTC and exciting new US listed products. Starting in September, join us every weekday from 7:30 to 10 a.m. for exclusive insights from our trade desk, expert trading concepts curated by our friends at tastylive, global guest appearances, and loads of viewer interaction. Regular platform feature highlights and up-to-the-minute market updates. From casual chit-chat to in-depth analysis, we've got your morning covered. Live on IG.com, YouTube, and in IG's trading platform. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's something for everyone. Tune in, stay informed, and kickstart your trading day live with IG.
To find a list of all your open trades, click on Positions in the sidebar menu on the left. Here, you'll be able to see key information about each of your trades, including the market name, the size of your position, the opening price, the stop order you chose, and your limit order. You'll also be able to see your profit and loss. Positions are normally sorted in descending order of your latest trades. To change how your positions are listed, you can filter your view by clicking on your preferred factor, like which trades are making you the most money, by selecting profit and loss. you can edit your limit order or stop order by clicking on the figure and entering your desired number. Lastly, you can close your open trades by clicking on the close button next to the relevant trade.
Hey, welcome to the And Runs from Tom segment.
It's going to have to be what it's called, I think, isn't it?
Well,
It's just nice to see you here.
it's just nice to see you. So good to have you back. I have apologized many times on screen, but it feels like we're like the star-crossed lovers. Every time we try and do a segment, it's like tech out there. Dylan Rattigan can't call through from Milan. I had to jump out.
Well, if we recap quickly,
Okay.
if we manage to make it through today, all the way through, that would be the first in 4.
Yeah. Second, what happened? Second time,
First one, you just ran out and left me alone. Second one,
it showed how confident I was of
Which
you
is
know,
lovely.
my training of you,
but
right?
you still ran out the studio. Second one was a fire alarm. So you
It wasn't my fault.
You
They would have seen me burn alive here if
You
I didn't
orchestrated-
run out. They care more about me than you. They were saying safety first, Ange, safety first. You were kind of like,
or it was an elaborate ruse and you orchestrated a fire alarm to get away from me yet again. And then the third one, we didn't even start. There was nothing. He wasn't even here. So fourth time lucky, I think, is the
you're
phrase,
right.
isn't it?
You're right. I was on the platform with a cancelled train.
Not the IG platform, the train platform.
The train platform. But I'm so pleased you're here because first, it's a crazy, crazy week with so much volatility. But we also have a load of improvements and things answered from the last time we were on about the economic calendar.
Some, don't big it up too much, some.
I'm really excited about this.
Don't go in with loads because it sets expectations too high.
go
in with,
low.
Go in with like...
Go low
some,
and then
some.
Some.
You don't want to like over egg it too early.
Okay. So first.
First of all, how was your women trader event?
Oh, it was great. It was at the top floor of Fortnum and Mason in the dining. I picked up something for your wife
Oh yeah, lovely.
because you know, after
gift.
my mention of, you know, you can get into a driverless car and then get your shopping and your grocery delivered from Fortnum. Mm-hmm. And then you got messages from her saying, "We do? What do you mean by we don't
You
shop?"
said she wasn't posh enough to.
I
shop
said
at Fortnum,
you
wasn't
weren't
it?
posh enough. I didn't say she wasn't.
Don't bring it up again. I've just managed to smooth things over, so
Okay.
it's not.
Okay.
We'll go back.
So it was on top floor. I showed pictures earlier this week, and it was with our IG's top female traders, and it was a great event because they all came up with all these really good ideas as to, you know, how to make things better. Some of them were platform related.
Oh dear. So basically what happens is you go to an event and then we all have loads of work to do. I guess that's how it goes, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. But you know,
But lots of good ideas.
lots of great ideas.
Awesome.
Ones that we can work on. So do we do that first or the economic calendar? Which
Let's do that first while we're on it.
Okay, so the first one is they wanted to, and I think this is for Leslie, who is Emma Mentor's client. She likes trading in legs. So I think when she shows me her mobile app, she had like 20 legs on it. It looked like 20 legs on silver.
Okay, same instrument, lots of positions.
Yeah,
Okay.
lots and lots of positions. And at different time intervals, obviously, and different position sizes.
Yeah.
She wants to, on the chart, close out just by tapping them. And she was showing me, it kept on glitching back to the positions page, which wasn't helpful if you're doing it really quickly, right? Like if we have volatility the evening before, it's you just want to get out.
Yeah.
But she said sometimes she doesn't want to, because I said, well, you can go to positions, just close all. And she went, no, Ange, I don't want to do that. I only want to do maybe 4 of them.
By individually tapping on the chart.
Exactly.
On her mobile app.
On a mobile app.
Which you can do. So we will look at why hers specifically. Because you should be able to, because you see them on the chart, don't you? Lots of different lines where your position was entered in. And yes, you can just tap each one off. So we'll have to look at why.
Yeah.
Has
So, Lisa, we've got that. I'm going to message you after this. We're going to get you to record your screen because it might be an Android versus iPhone? Because we can do it on the iPhone.
It could be that.
Yeah. Trader friends, any of you have that functionality glitch, please let us know what phone you use. The second item that was raised was they'd like push notifications that you can opt into if there is, for example, if they trade US earnings. Mm-hmm. Or if you only trade European earnings, they'd like an opt-in. Can you give me notifications, maybe, blue chips, companies above this size,
Okay, so like more configurability as to the kind of things you want to be notified about.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Anything's possible, isn't it? Anything's possible, because at the moment you do get notifications around big kind of announcements at the moment, don't you? Like, rates announcements, things like that. But I guess if you could be more specific, that could be good, couldn't it? Because you could say, my specific interests are the following. These are the things. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. The fab thing about the International Women's Day event for our top female traders as well is that we had quite a few people the following Monday, yesterday, calling to open new accounts.
Lovely.
So that's great.
Well done.
Because, I talked them through, guardrails, the automation. And I also mentioned your wonderful trading stop. We had questions yesterday, which I fielded, not as well as you, might I add, but I fielded on your behalf because I have had this problem before. I think it was Donald that said it. And it's about putting a trade on, and then I want to put a trading stop in retrospectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to do it. You got to know at the time you want one.
Yeah, but you want to catch it. You want to catch it.
You want to turn one into a trading later.
Exactly. Was it you, Donald, or Maturin? Maturin coming up with another here, chiming in. Can you add markets to watch lists in a block? And also, can you add stocks from the stock screener to a watch list too? He's tried or she's tried, but not successful.
So at the moment, you'd have to see it in the stock screener. You would have to type it in, and then you'd have to select add to watch list from there. But yeah, that's another good idea, that if you could just straight from the stock screener or wherever you saw the stock in the platform, and just
right-hand click,
just be able to add it to watch list.
Yeah, and add to watch list. Maturing in markets, you can, but you need to configure it yourself. So you need to go to, this is your first question, you need to go to your watch list button on the left of the menu bar, the thing that looks like a star, and then you need to create watch list, and then you need to manually add it. I have also had a personal request, i.e. rand request. I've said, how nice.
We prefer the word request. It's a nice.
That's why Tom looks like that whenever he sees me coming. He has that look, Yeah,
I'm like, what is it today? Yeah.
It's not about bowling, is it? It's about some other. So how nice would it be? How nice?
Sometimes it is about bowling.
Sometimes it all DIY.
Other times it's more
requests.
Grievances. Yeah.
I said, how nice, Tom, would it be to be able to go, hey, away with the numbers, or RSACs wants my US and European defense watch list, or my drones watch list. Can I just share watch list, right, with someone?
With a friend.
On the system, right? Share watch
like a
list.
social kind of aspect.
Exactly. Or Monkey Man wants to, I don't know, Monkey Man's watch list. Monkey Man has a question. P&L, can you show daily changes individually at a glance in the app? Oh.
I'm not quite sure what. The other day I was at a pub actually, and they played a song called Monkey Man, and that's only when I realised. That's when I realised why Monkey Man, because it's a song, isn't it, by the Specials?
Oh, I didn't know this.
Is that right?
I don't know this.
The song came on, and it made me think of Monkey Man, and I think maybe that's the reason for the name. I don't know. Maybe we've covered this before, but it twigged the other day.
No, I didn't even know there was a song. I mean, but then again, I can tell you a lot about choral music and everything else, but I only found out the other day after telling my kids off for singing Appetite. I thought it was made up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said, please stop the whatever you're making up, because can't you just learn the lyrics? And then lo and behold,
they are the lyrics.
Stop playing it over there, guys. I already just found it's like just come off seared into my memory, the Appetite song. Monkey Man, I will find it out for you because in the app. I don't know, but you can do it on the platform. I believe Maturin saying, I'm a he. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So some of the, Monkey Man, I'll come back to you on that. Some of the other really handy, we had an ideas book, in fact, 2 on both tables. And because I was helpfully on the head table, like I was kind of like chief cat herder. Fill it in, people, fill it in. They'd also like push what you've missed push notifications overnight. So they heard me talking about how I like push notifications or email pushes overnight to find out what I missed in Asia.
Yeah, okay.
That means as I'm coming in on public transport, I'm really reading in, as I'm on the bridge running across, not only am I listening to you guys, but I'm also making sure I'm across everything that's happened. Some central banks have handovers as well. You can tap into that. There's also a China Daily, China Last Night newsletter that you can put yourself on for free, by the way. But they'd like a what you've missed push notification by region.
What you've missed by region, okay.
Yeah.
Again, similar in terms of if you have specific interests, you want to be able to say, I want notifications about this thing.
Yeah, because I think the PCMs and the client managers, they do a really good overview, but they like some bespokeness put into the push. So
in terms of their preference.
Exactly. So like I spoke to one female trader and she's like, and I only trade WTI and natural gas. I'd like to be able to just say, what did I miss last night?
Yeah.
Only choose.
But only for those things.
Yeah.
And I've often wondered if actually we could be even clever about it than that, because sometimes you don't know what you're going to want, right?
Yeah.
Because you might, for example, when you're setting this up, say, I'm particularly interested in, as you just said, China or WTI or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, what if we could be even smarter than that and we could say, based on your behavior, I think this is probably what they're interested in, and then offer up a notification. That would be
more intuitive.
Perhaps more intuitive, because you might think you're interested in China today, but you might not be, Maybe we could know you better than you know you. Scary.
That is scary.
That is scary. Maybe not. Too scary.
Yeah, I don't think you want to.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not go there. So that was from Sonal and Ying Ying. Amazing ideas there. Also,
I hope you've written them all down in a nice list for us.
of course.
Okay, good.
Would you expect anything less?
No, I would expect you to throw them at me randomly throughout the day in some kind of incoherent manner, and I would just scramble and write stuff.
Or march towards you.
Exactly.
R. Sachs chiming in. Hey, R. Sachs, good morning to you. Ange, please can we put or cancel stop loss or even buy orders out of regular hours? It helps to manage trade at any time, even during the weekends. Thanks. This is a really good one. I would love this function as well.
Is this to do with, are we referring here to as you're moving between different sessions?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think
So if the market's closed, you want to be able to change?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, because the market's closed, and I've been in this position, RSAX before, where markets are closed, and I kind of like, I really need this winning trade to just come out at the moment we opened, come out, be filled, come out, because it's going to be ugly tomorrow, right?
And you want to change it out when the market is actually closed, okay?
Yeah, and I want the moment it opens, right? I want to set it so that I don't have to physically be there. I want to be able to just have it action the moment. But the problem is when the markets are closed, as RSAX rightly points out, you can't put in a stop loss.
Yeah, to your existing position. You could obviously set up a new order.
You could set up a new order.
But I guess you're saying you don't want that. You want to be able to adjust the stop on an existing position.
RSAX, I don't know where I got your email, but email me and ask at IG.com. We have to sort this out. I will find a way. I'll find a way.
Okay. I imagine that could be complicated, that one, couldn't it?
It could be complicated, but I have even asked Mini Cooper as well. He's like, yes, and asked me many times. But when you see...
Not the best impression, though.
Yeah, I mean... no one can carry off that hat that he had on last week and look like Private Mini Cooper from the 1800s like him. Did you see the meme that was being sent around the volatility desk?
No.
It was awesome. It was so funny. And try and get it up at the end. But let's run through these questions first. Monkey Man having the thumbs up. Great. We will find that out for you. Arthur Foxhaig, why can't we move traded positions around into any desired order, same as you can in a watch list? Otherwise, oil US crude positions ends up in a different place to US crude options positions.
Oh, you mean in your positions view, you want to change the order of it? Yeah, I see what you mean. Because are they alphabetical? Oh no, are they done on time based at the moment?
It is time-based.
So it's like the first one you opened to the last one you opened.
Yeah, and Arthur and I probably have done the same thing. Have you tried to click and move it and
Right. Yeah, sure. So you would ideally group them by, just be able to customize it. Is that what you're saying? So if you wanted to group by
yeah,
asset class rather than time it was put on.
yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of like when you have, you know, what I really like is you have legs for gold, for example, and you have a drop-down menu, and it then puts down all the gold trades that you have.
Yeah.
And then you can minimize and it closes back up again.
Yeah.
But what is nice is if you've got gold right next to, for example, if you've had a trade on a gold miner, or if you've got WTI, you want it next to Brent and you want it next to, but you've put these, it tends to collate it in time order. So they're all in different spaces.
Yeah.
And for someone, I understand completely Arthur and Lazili as well, if you've put in many different legs for different things at different times and you're trying to scroll through 30 positions,
Yeah.
it's really difficult, especially on the mobile app.
If you're, yeah. And how can we sort those in a way that is more intuitive?
Yeah. So R. Sachs chiming in saying, and can do it with many other brokers, so possible. Yeah, I agree. Let us know which ones you use. We'll have a look at it after this and see if we can mimic or do something similar. And she also adds, cannot cancel a stop order outside regular hours.
Yeah, outside the when the market's closed.
Yeah, when the markets are closed.
Okay, that's a common. That seems like it's a common one. That one.
Yeah, and then I don't think we can put orders as message comes. Market not available. Yeah, so definitely can't.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's good stuff. Yeah, no, it's great to hear, and we'll put that together and get it to the right people. What? No, you don't
I'm
like
just
that?
saying that we've got loads more questions. Do we have time, gallery? Plenty of time. Perfect. Now, you're gonna love this one. You ready?
Yeah. Hope I can answer it.
Is there a way of putting a trading community, like a messenger, on the mobile app so that traders, like-minded traders, can message each other, you know, so they can connect with other gold traders? You know, quite often it's really helpful if someone else, a mate of yours, knows that you've got a trade on gold, and they know what because you've discussed it, what your positions are, whether you're bearish, whether you're shorting, whether, and then they happen to be online at that point, and they're trading, but they know you're not because you've gone off to do something, play squash, whatever.
Yeah.
And then quite often you get a push, or I get a nudge saying it's turning, or like I like to say, like last night when I nudged Rich, it's Nasdaq's turning.
Yeah.
Right. Is that possible? Like a community, a messenger community within an app, or somewhere where
I know that
kind of like this, guys, on the left-hand side. This is like super useful, but when the show ends, obviously they can't continue their chats about picking bottoms.
Yeah, which is important. So the Tasty Trade did something like this, and they called it Bad Trader, and it was kind of a social.
They did.
If I understand it right, because I haven't actually used it, but I think that was something similar, which is a social type community-based trading platform. But yeah, it's a really good idea, and if that's something people are interested in doing, talking to other people with similar interests in the same kind of asset class or the same kind of things, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Great. So let's try and get that to happen. I think it'd be a great idea. And also the thing is, some people, like I have to clock off by around 4:30 purely because I have to pick up kids and all that. But then I clock back on at around 7, and then sometimes around 9, 8:30, 9, that hour, just to make sure I, am in the power hour as well. I'd like someone who knows what,
A helper.
here. It'd be great to go into something, like a chat list like this with the timestamps. I can go, well, what did I miss?
So if you had a feed, let's say, and all your friends, including viewers and whoever, are on
All
the same
trading the
feed,
same stuff.
all trading the same stuff at the same time, could look at it and say, "Anne just clocked off. We better keep her in the loop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good name for the list. Anne just clocked off. Keep her in the loop. Boise there, we could set up a Discord group for everyone to chat. That's a great idea to talk outside the show. If things are turning, I want to know about it, right? Because I like trading the bounce or the reversal. Sometimes, especially when you heard Matt Arbour talk, the last few sessions have been so wild that you really, really need to keep your guardrails, gloves out. And many of our female traders, in fact, like to clear all positions if they're not in front of the screen.
Really? So once
For about a week now, they just clear everything, whack it on.
Oh, so this isn't what they normally do. This is right now because at the moment
It's too
there's a
volatile.
lot of movement.
Yeah.
So they're not leaving anything open, even with a stop or a limit.
There's nothing baking overnight.
They're just okay, and which
just-
is quite nice as well sometimes because get to just
Yeah.
forget about it for a while.
Yeah. And they're also using all those good things like the guaranteed stop, the trading stop, right? But the difference is in the last week, they're whacking back the trades back on in the morning. But when they're leaving, like that evening when they came to see me at the event at Fortnum, where we had a great time, good couple of hours, just talking about how they trade, what they watch. I asked your questions, by the way. They said they're trading really differently in these times. They want a blank screen, go back, whack the positions on, come back out again, clear all the trades. A lot of them, some of the biggest traders, Sonal and Ying Ying, before they came to dinner at Fortnum, they cleared everything.
Okay, and a few weeks ago, would that not have been the case?
No.
They would happily leave them on overnight for days, that kind of thing. So this is a recent thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I asked your questions.
I should hope so.
Do you still remember what they are?
Do I remember what they are? I don't remember exactly what they were, but I imagine, knowing me, there would be something like, what other tools can we provide?
That's it.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it. So I asked them that for you. They said that in these volatile, the last week that we've had and yesterday, what they're finding is not only do they have the Reuters feeds up, some of them work in, a lot of them work in finance. So they also have, a Bloomberg screen up. But what's different in the last week or so is they also have TweetDeck up. They're finding that sometimes TweetDeck, depending on which feeds they follow, can filter out the noise quicker, and it helps them.
But sorry, I don't know if this is a silly question, but TweetDeck as in Twitter, as in X, is that what you mean? Or
Yeah,
is it something else?
but TweetDeck is almost like your personal deck of who you follow, and it puts it on one screen.
Right. Okay. So it's a curated list of your. Okay.
Which you can see in one screen.
So they're using that in a similar way to what we were just talking about, which is some kind of
Filter.
or community to discuss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they were saying that, some of these, communities, they might not be trading communities, they might be news, they might be a certain community that only trades on Trump, there might be another community. See, so it's not like everyone on that community just trades oil. Or everyone in the community, they were looking for a messenger list, kind of like a Discord, like Boise here is talking about and maturing. Harishanai, good morning, saying I'm good with that. I'd be very keen too to join. So we got all.
Because I think part of the reason I asked that is because I was interested to know what else people use for financial data outside of the platform. That's why I was interested, and it's interesting that some of them are using Bloomberg, some of them are using other things. But I didn't expect them to say we're also using. I guess no, it's obvious that. But yeah, I didn't expect them to necessarily want to know what their community is saying. But I guess it depends how wide that community is. Their community could be full of experts. It could be full of friends. It could be full of anyone, couldn't it?
Yeah, I guess if we had one here, it would mean that you have the IG trading community.
Which would be the best one, obviously.
I was just saying IG's not getting us together. Can you imagine all of us together in one room with Monkey Man and Tom and Rich and myself?
That'd be a hell of a day.
And it'll be a hell of a day.
Make it happen.
Speaking of making it happen,
I wanted it at Fortnum and Mason.
Ong always delivers here. Whack it up, people, by popular demand. Da da da. So after that, he appeared with that tasty hat last week. The Vol Desk guys put this together, which I thought was really, really funny. Maxime sent it to me saying that that's Private Cooper aboard the, what is it, HMS Iron Fist or something back in the 1800s. There you go. Ta-da! Right. More questions. We only got through a third. Yeah, a third.
Which is good that this is an engaging topic, I think, because it's really always good to hear people's thoughts on what's useful.
Yes, and this is what I love most being on Trade Live with IG and hosting this show is that you guys are herd people. We try and fix your problems, when we, or your suggestions to try and put that in place ASAP, because we know that it matters to you, and time is money. Time is money, because, even closing out slowly, you would have lost money by then, because
if you can't do it quick enough, yeah.
Exactly. So, request or suggestion number 525 is that they'd like the possibility of the sound of an order being filled to be different from the alerts. So what I'm getting from these traders is it's like the same sound, right? So if you're trading on your own and you're sat there, and some people do it with their headphones on, some people just leave it on, it's the same sound.
Which means that you don't know exactly what has happened, It's just, okay, fair enough.
Or if you're on the tasty side, quite often they're like, oh, I didn't even know I had that on, because they put in so many legs and so many long-term time frames.
Yeah.
That, but if you had...
Okay, so it'd be interesting. Maybe you want one for filled?
Yeah.
One for just a regular alert?
Yeah.
One for... Would you want different ones, whether it's an open or close? I don't know. Maybe it would be the same? Maybe just filled is one noise?
Yeah, and close. I was on the same wavelength as you. Some of our trader friends here came up with, how about if it's going down, you could even choose, like for Tesla, a reverse, like a really awful,
Oh, like, even though it doesn't have gears.
Yeah, it doesn't have gears, people. I was just thinking that as I was saying, like, what would you say? Because the motors are in the wheels.
It's just a weird high-pitched whir.
Yeah, or maybe a burr, burr, burr. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even get that far. I was going to say maybe a different sound for alerts and a different sound for,
Well, I told you before, I think, the IG trading desk have Simpsons noises for different sounds. So, for example, they have Mr. Burns saying excellent. That's one of the noises.
Oh, really?
That's one of them. And then they have a Homer Simpson one, and they have there's a whip for one, like a whoosh. That means, I forget which one is which, but...
Filled.
Maybe it is, but they have all sorts of different things going on, don't they, for people's orders, but they're really annoying, so I don't like them, but, it works for them. So I guess maybe we could customize it, couldn't we? People could pick.
Yeah, I mean, customization is good. I mean, some people love those alerts, some people, don't mind them, some people don't like them. A customization, they would love that, was the idea, that was the mood music that I got from there. Another one that they mentioned as well is that this is in a similar vein to a community group that Boise was talking about. We need to think of a name, people. We're going to do this.
Yeah, we do.
And they were saying that there are some communities out there called Trade the Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
This one is one that is used by Denise. Some even were suggesting social events where like-minded traders could get together. Not just training events, but, like-minded bowling. So Tom can kick your ass.
I'd recommend we don't do bowling, because you'll spend all evening explaining to them your theories on how to curve the ball. And they might really like it.
I got your back, right? I got your back. But you didn't use that technique in there, and you didn't want to change technique halfway through, which I get.
Yeah, I'm not about changing a technique, moments before execution. But talking of this, the kind of social element that people do, I'm surprised no one's mentioned Reddit, because a lot of people use, from what I understand, Reddit to talk about trading, to talk about their mistakes, to talk about other people having the same difficulties that they are. So Reddit's a very popular one.
Yeah.
And we sometimes get a automated internal email that just kind of scrapes Reddit and says, these are the things that traders are having issues with and that kind of thing. So I think that's quite a popular one as well.
Yeah. Maturin also mentioning we're still missing UK earnings from the economic calendar.
So how long we got?
We've got 2 minutes.
Well, we should just quickly show then the fact that one of our viewers kindly pointed out last week that we were missing the dividends.
Yes.
So if we just bring up my screen, please, quickly.
Here we are. Let's put up his screen.
So if we go to economic calendar, I think it was Arthur. I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Arthur Fox Haig.
I think it was.
It's a very posh name.
And he kindly pointed out that some dividends weren't coming through. They are now. So the bit that was missing was this. I'm in the economic calendar. I'm on the dividends tab at the top, and I'm looking at tomorrow. Something to bear in mind with this is that you've got 2 dates here, which is potentially confusing. This date here is the ex-dividend date, which is the date on and after. If you buy the stock, you won't receive the dividend. So for example, if you bought Nvidia today, you would be eligible for this next payment on the 2nd of April because the ex-dividend date is tomorrow. But these stocks here, for example, if you bought Omnicom today, it's gone ex-dividend, you wouldn't be eligible for it. So thank you for pointing that out. These are now pulling through, and these are upcoming ex-dividend dates. So that's the critical thing. This March 12th is ex-dividend. This March 13 is ex-dividend. And so as long as you buy the stock before that date, you would be eligible for the payment, which is, let's say, 2nd of April, 9th of April, 26th of March, etc. So thank you for that. That's now pulling through. But the question about UK earnings from economic calendar, if we take a look, economic calendar earnings, I think we're looking at UK. Okay. There's no major ones. So if I put on medium and low, okay. If we think there are some missing, I will take a look. It could be that they're medium and low importance, but we can take a look at that definitely.
Yeah, I've played around with the importance, and if you try and this is where it gets a bit interesting, because I have noticed this as well, maturing. Arthur Fox Haig saying, not if you say it after a fat finger. But if you change the importance on the left-hand side, just whacking up my screen there, can you see this, guys? And if you click low as well, then it does then bring up the British flag there. However, if you go into that drop-down menu and you want to try and just single out the UK, then there we are. But yet again, Maturin is right. You're only seeing the data, but not seeing in terms of what he wants. Is he wants earnings, UK earnings.
Yes, we've got earnings, second tab across.
So if you go there and let's see if we can try and do it. So low is on.
Yeah.
And I've got
take off America.
Yeah. And then I go Euro area. And then we go there. Oh.
We're going to call this one problem with user. Okay.
Picnic.
Picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer.
Yeah. And so I've not got my mouse here, so
you can see there. Look, you can. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. You can see some United Kingdom earnings there.
Yeah. So
they're on low.
Yeah. So you need to pick.
But I don't know. I don't know if there are some missing or not. But we can certainly have a look.
Because I noticed this too, Mitchell. If you take off the low importance, then they tend to just disappear from the list. So you need to click the low for some bizarre reason.
Because they've been ranked, not by us actually, but they've been ranked in terms of high. So for example, your Nvidia will come up as a high, right?
But for someone who only trades, UK stocks, then
yeah, so they might have just been categorized as low importance. Is it called importance? Yes, which is it's quite rude for the company, I guess. But it's been categorized as low importance. So I'm looking at, for example, Deliveroo has an earnings on the 13th in 2 days. That's coming through as a low importance.
yeah. Fantastic. Matron's got a thumbs up there. And just to Pete Neville, if you're there, I hear you, got your back. We've also answered the UK dividends question they had, but all your tax questions, I have got that on a special for you. I'll email you separately with the time because we're still rejigging the time zone, but I have done a special session for you, Pete Neville, if you're listening there. Mature asking, is ranking to do with capitalism?
No, capitalization.
Capitalization. On that note, many thanks from the And Runs from Tom show. I didn't run this time.
An entire segment. I can't believe it.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations. I'm going to get you a medal.
Thanks, everyone. Don't go away because up next, Aaron Bright is coming up.
Planning to make investing your New Year's resolution? IG Invest brings their trading expertise to a brand new, simple and user-friendly app. With zero commission on US stocks, why wait? Download IG Invest today.
CFD trading is the buying and selling of CFDs, or contracts for difference. As a derivative product, CFDs enable you to trade shares, indices, forex, commodities and more, without ever needing to own the underlying asset. When you trade CFDs, you trade the difference in the price of an asset from the point at which the contract is opened to when it's closed. As you don't own the underlying asset, you can trade markets that are falling as well as those that are rising. So, how exactly do you trade CFDs? Each contract has a buy and a sell price. Sell prices are slightly lower than the current market price, and buy prices are slightly higher. The difference between the two is referred to as the spread. If you think the market will rise, you would buy. This is called going long. If you think the market will fall, you would sell, known as going short. The more the market moves in the direction you predict, the larger your profits. If it moves in the opposite direction, the greater your loss. CFDs are traded on leverage, which means that you only need a small deposit, known as a margin, to gain full market exposure. So, if you wanted to open a position equivalent to 500 Apple shares, you might only need to put up 20% of the cost. Your profit or loss is calculated based on the full value of the trade, however, which could mean magnified gains, but also magnified losses. So, when trading CFDs, you should always keep an eye on the potential downside. Take care to manage your risk with stops and limits. Visit IG Academy to learn more.
Rise and shine with IG's new morning show, Trade Live with IG, covering all our UK product offerings, including our OTC and exciting new US listed products. Starting in September, join us every weekday from 7:30 to 10 a.m. for exclusive insights from our trade desk, expert trading concepts curated by our friends at tastylive, global guest appearances, and loads of viewer interaction. Regular platform feature highlights and up-to-the-minute market updates. From casual chit-chat to in-depth analysis, we've got your morning covered, live on IG.com, YouTube, and in IG's trading platform. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's something for everyone. Tune in, stay informed, and kickstart your trading day live with IG.
Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next
Are you ambitious? A future leader? Do you think big and raise the bar? If that sounds familiar, IG wants you. We're a global fintech and we offer graduate schemes for the ambitious. You'll see everything as you rotate across the business, building your skills and knowledge as you go. Kickstart your career as a future leader at IG, the home of the ambitious.
Hey trader friends, welcome back, and we have Aaron here with us. If you're wondering why I'm looking down my mobile phone, I am awaiting messages from some of my mates from Bloomberg and also from a Reuters desk to find out, what this week brings. Because earlier on in the week, on Monday, if you patched in, you heard me say that we are looking at perhaps more tariff announcements midweek, and normally the media outfits, the big media outfits of this world, what tends to happen is they get a heads up, right? They get a heads up going, this is likely to come at this time. So make sure you have every permutation, every written permutation possible, so you can press that publish button and try and beat each other in the race. So it's always Bloomberg versus Reuters, and they're all kind of like, at least 3 versions would have been written up. So they can just do the tweak and then just go publish.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm waiting for Taps there to see what time, right? So it is very handy that I still have a lot of colleagues waiting there. They don't tell me what's happening, but at least I can get an indication of time. We were just talking about economic calendars earlier, but let's go back to talking about what a week that we have had, a volatility. We talk about diversification here a lot as well. Growth stocks, in the last couple of hours, we've seen growth stocks really get hammered, right? Biggest one-day slide since September 2022. It seems like there is this big push towards value, quality. What's your view?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yes, last night was certainly interesting. It was quite painful for equity investors, as we were WhatsApping about last night. But yes, look, I completely agree with that. I think there's a lot of concerns over growth and economic outlook now, given the uncertainty of Trump's tariffs and what they can do to various businesses. So that's why we saw growth companies sell off, especially because there's also concerns about, interest rate paths, all that stuff. There's lingering inflation, all stuff, that the market is digesting. And there's various concerns over the frothiness of the market and all things such as that. So yeah, we saw a big sell-off last night.
So trader friends, this was Aaron and myself chatting at 7 yesterday when I tapped back into the markets to watch the chaos unfold, and I think we were chatting on WhatsApp over this because we talked about this in yesterday's show, going, markets are starting to lose their patience and get really annoyed.
I said expect volatility to continue. And
you jinx the market.
I think that's my most accurate forecast ever.
Jinx
so, yeah. I bought a new crystal ball last week. It seems to be working brilliantly.
Wow, from Amazon. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I quit back and showed him this meme from Putin, right? If you haven't seen it, one thing that all this market chaos is kind of putting out there is that really funny memes. That's Employee of the Month there, Trump in the background. But back to the markets. I mean, we're looking at early signs. Don't want to jinx it the rest of the session, but we are seeing early signs of stabilization there, just whacking up the markets there for you.
I don't think that's too unusual when you get an aggressive sell-off, which we haven't seen in 2.5, 3 years, sort of intraday, that you sort of see vultures come and see what they can find, blood on the streets and all that jazz. So not surprising that we're seeing a little bit of a rally in sort of the futures today. But look, it's just because we're seeing a little bit of green, or in this case blue, on the board, it doesn't mean that the macro scenarios have gone. We've still got uncertainty over tariffs. We've still got concerns of the US economy. We've still got the fact that geopolitics can sway markets massively in 2025. is set to potentially be a big year for geopolitics, given the Ukraine war. Whether that's going to continue to rage on. We've got the Middle East. What's going to happen with that? Is that going to cause issues again, or is there going to be peace there? So there's a lot of as I said yesterday, multifaceted things going on at the minute. So yeah, volatility could continue.
Yeah, and let's just give you a quick reminder of what we have seen so far. We are now seeing slight stabilization. Just looking at the shares there, because this is a real cool space to keep an eye on, because it does in real time, it does helpfully sort out the most traded financial instruments on the IG platform. So that gives you a really quick indication of where the action is, right? We're seeing Tesla, we're seeing Nvidia, bit of bounce back there.
I mean, even Rolls-Royce was down over 8% yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that was really down to concerns over, there's a peace conference coming up with Ukraine, and I think also a little bit of profit taking and just general equity volatility playing into that. But an interesting area to look at yesterday was quite different to the sell-off we saw in 2022. That was obviously driven by inflation and interest rates going up, and the whole growth stock selling off because of the discounted future cash flows now being, when discounted back to the present value, they're now worth less. So these companies' earnings weren't seen as attractive as before with the forecasted raised interest rates. This one was different because we actually saw fixed income rally, and we've seen the yields come down. So we've seen 10-year yields come down, and we're actually seeing diversification benefits, which we're not actually used to in recent bouts of volatility. So that's, as a sort of portfolio manager, it's wonderful to see that the portfolio diversification is taking place, even though in obviously our more aggressive portfolios, they're going to be equity dominant. So, I'm going to be looking at my screen like this at the figures and the returns yesterday. But look, it's normal for equities to experience volatility. So over the longer term, we expect them to perform well. But, over these shorter periods, it's just the nature of the beast, really.
You have to surf. You can't, what is it the saying? You can't prevent the waves, you just have to learn to surf them. And
it's like in kickboxing sparring, you do get punched in the face a lot. You just have to get on with it, really.
Yeah. And this is why we talk a lot about, making sure your portfolio is robust, making sure that you're well diversified, make sure that you have,
different tools in your arsenal. If you've got a lower risk tolerance, and if you're investing over the longer term.
If you have to do it. I have a stick when I'm doing it, and Aaron sees me going over with yet another sheet in hand going, what do you think of this ETF? And then I have to bite on a stick in order to execute, because it is painful, isn't it? It's painful when you've got a fund that's doing really well, but you have to make the move.
Vice versa, when you're sitting on, I've experienced this over the past few weeks, you're sitting on some funds which were amazing, and now they're down 10%, and you're just thinking, oh, why didn't I sell it? But it's easy to think like that. You just have to have a strong stomach in these rather volatile times.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's have a check-in. We haven't looked at Forex carefully yet. The view yesterday, amid all this, if you guys were up like myself, trying to make sense of the screens, I was sobbing. I was when I was messaging you, I had my head in my hands, because what you normally see, and this is what I was trying to explain to everyone here, what you normally see in non-turbulent, shall we say, non-volatile times, is you see a sell-off, but then you see that bounce quite soon after, and then it starts, coming back up, right, or it starts drawing a trend, and then you can. But what we're finding now is that, the sell-off just goes on for much longer than expected. And waiting for the bounce, can come much later.
Well, I think there's also that we're used to, 2.5 years of markets flying as well. So we're not used to volatility such as this. We're used to tech stocks flying. Obviously 2022, we saw a lot of volatility, downwards volatility, but that actually seems like a long time ago, even though it was only a few years ago. So I think there's that element too, which I agree with what you were saying, but also the fact that we haven't seen much downward movement. We're now seeing it, and everyone's sort of concerned a little bit. But as I said, and I'll say again, it's quite normal to see volatility in markets over periods, over an investment lifetime. And given the macro environment we're in, really not surprising. And also the valuations, coming to the year, 20, 25 times forward earnings, S&P 500, it's rather pricey.
It is very punchy now.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Not after
last night and the past few weeks.
In the past week and a half, really. But just taking a look at this, I'll show you what I mean. Luke also confirmed this. What you normally see is a reaction, and it kind of bounces back. But now we're seeing, the sell-off can go into the cash open and then continue for a lot longer than expected before.
This is the similarity I'm seeing to 2022, where you start to see futures looking red, and then it just, it might be a little bit of a wave, but then markets will end down in excess of 2.5%.
And it might come back a bit, but that's normally towards the very, very end of the session. And it's good to keep in mind, because if you don't pivot, you might make the mistake of thinking, oh well, things might get better at the cash open. And actually, it's going to get more painful, right?
Yeah.
If you're caught out.
You're a trader, certainly. Yeah.
Let's take a look at the currency markets as well. Having a look there, overnight.
More dollar weakness we're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing more dollar weakness now. Let's add that to the workspace. Taking a look at the 10-minute, if we may. We were seeing signs of stabilization earlier, but we are now seeing weakness.
What's interesting is one would expect tariffs to sort of provide a little bit of dollar strength, typically speaking, because it's obviously going to protect US goods and stop US consumers importing. But we've seen sort of the opposite, just because of general uncertainty over the US, I'd say. And I think potentially maybe there's concerns over, in terms of the currency basket, looking at rate cuts, coming to fruition. If there's weakness in the economy, maybe that's another.
Well, I think it's all to do with the economy, and that R word that's now starting to creep in, right? And because of that, I think the dollar's going to be continually
smashed by rate cuts.
Yeah, under pressure, and then smashed by rate cuts. So you got a double whammy there. First smashed by concerns about a recession, then smashed by incoming rate cuts, which
But even then, the trend is your friend.
Axel, we've got the sound box for Axel and saying, even then the trend is your friend. Yes, keep an eye on the trend. Obviously, you don't want to go against the trend, but bear in mind that we are in that kaleidoscope
it's
trading
brilliant.
environment that we coined. Both of us coined.
Next time I see any investment strategists at some of the banks, I'll say for your next uncertain outlook.
Created by Angeline.
Yeah, you need to get the royalties for it, but it should be a year of kaleidoscope, or the kaleidoscope year, and then they should give it out at any of the conferences, kaleidoscope, so you can see.
I love it. Let's take a look at euro dollar now, because euro dollar is now at that at that strange point where it has hit. Let's have a look at the daily. It has hit that 10,914 level. But we are now clearly contained within this kind of range, if you like. I'm trying to zoom that out.
Yeah, it is sort of picking up though since last few months, absolutely.
And we are moving back towards levels unseen since the 5th of November. And if we continue and volume continues as well at this level, it's likely that we might even hit it today. It's looking increasingly likely. The other one, if you trade, I know we have a lot of cable traders here. Let's have a look at that.
Very volatile over the past 6 months.
Look at that. Very, very choppy. Lacking conviction at the moment. But we are also seeing a similar climb towards that,
I need it to keep going up until December, because that's when I'm going.
It's your holiday, right?
Yeah, so another...
For personal reasons, Aaron Bright needs cable, needs the pound to continue to rise. So trader friends, you guys know what to do here. Okay.
I don't mind afterwards, whatever happens. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
For traders of these crosses as well, bear in mind, whatever theory you have, if it's a bit longer term, you might want to make sure you have a rethink, because June is the pivotal moment, which could be further choppiness for currency markets, because that's when Xi Jinping and the US and Trump are going to discuss.
They're always entertaining, those meetings. Interesting.
Nothing ever seems to come out until the kind of like very end, and you think, phew, you know.
There's always sound bites though when they first meet, and I remember once when Trump met Putin once. This was during his first term, and they were in sort of a press conference room, and Trump was getting frustrated by the line of questioning, and he turned to Putin and said, you know, it's great in Russia, you can just fire all these people, you can just control them to say what you want. So there's always a soundbite from a Trump and another leader press conference.
Didn't he also, am I remembering this right, but your parents have met Trump? Is that right?
Yes.
Could you pick up the phone and say?
No, it was in the 90s, just at a wedding of all places. So yeah, they met him many years ago. So no, unfortunately, my dad does not have him on speed dial. No, not at all.
Those of you in the chat, thank you so much for all your comments this morning. It's been amazing. Maturin chiming in, saying Maturin is one of our avid viewers here, chiming in with Euro, Aussie dollar, been trading that since 3rd of March. It is indeed a beauty. Let's have a look at that. Maturin, are you in Australia by any chance? Are you in, what do they call them? Antipodean. Are you in an Antipodean? If you are, please have a Crown Lager for me.
What are the chocolate bar? Tim Tam?
Yeah, and Tim Tam. So we had Tim Tams from Cam earlier, but yes, it has been on a tear. It's looking beautiful there. And from the sounds of things from my cousins over in Australia, likely to go on for longer than expected, because I've heard that when they come over here and look at the fruit in M&S, it's considered cheap.
Really?
Yeah. You know, the Aussies like to complain, don't they? They like to complain, but actually, in reality, their economy, they've been very lucky so far. They haven't had a huge recession. They haven't had, you know, huge unemployment.
They have huge spiders, though, which is a concern.
They have huge spiders, you're right. You're right, they have huge spiders. But as long as you obey the rules, people, there's nothing to worry about, right? Unless you're like one of those crazy people that leave your spiders without, or put them on without checking first.
Oh, your shoes and stuff. Yeah.
Shake the shoes.
That would be awful.
Oh my goodness, Maturin saying shrimps on the barbie. You are an Antipodean. I hate you. It still must be warm over there whilst it's rainy here. So just taking a look at Euro versus the Aussie dollar. Let's see if we can get some calls for you whilst we're on it. Is this one that you watch at all?
Euro Aussie, not typically. Our exposure to sort of Australian equities is very limited, sort of Asia Pacific, ex Japan. So we have a small position in an ETF, and yeah, look, we've got Euro exposure within our portfolios, mainly in European investment grade credits, and also in European unhedged equities. But we're obviously looking at the trend to sterling, because all of our returns are converted into sterling for our clients. So we're always looking at that trend, and we do a little bit of currency hedging as well. But Euro, Aussie dollar is not something I pay close attention to.
Well, Maturin, if you are continuing or adding to this trade, just bear in mind there are two potential headwinds. One, of course, is that kaleidoscope situation that we're in, and Trump tariffs, because obviously if any tariffs, or any more tariffs, shall I say, are unveiled and slapped on China, that has an immediate impact on the Aussie economy, because, what is the saying? Aussie materials, like the precious metals and copper and all that, China is their biggest buyer. So if China catches a call, Australia is first to be hit. And that's why, if you know miners in Australia, they're great, especially around the Perth region, they're a great bellwether for mining stocks and how they're going to perform. If you know that jobs are starting to get cut, and very often miners in Perth, you can see them in the golf clubs and you know that, oh, right, they're on 6 months, either paid leave or half pay because the mining sector is starting to weaken because China's buying less. So pay attention to that. That's a handy tip for you, Maturin, about bellwethers for the Aussie economy. The other one is, of course, the June meeting between Xi and Trump. I believe the summit happens in June. And Maturin is actually another hot country now, Spain, but monitor it from there. Right, so plenty to discuss. We also had a big week. Let's just show you the list now. I was watching this earlier on. Big week for some of the quantum stocks as well, but I don't think these are all sessions. But have a look at these when they open. IonQ is up slightly.
I'll look at D-Wave there.
Yeah, D-Wave, because it's likely, because they were whacked quite hard in the previous sessions, they might have a bit of a bounce back.
But I think the important thing to note is the sustainability of any rally given the macro environment. So that's something that for long-term investors, they need to really pay attention to in terms of their allocation towards specific equities, specific regions and asset classes. So as long as it's aligned to your risk and your time horizon, for investors, that's essentially all you can want and all you can do, because as much as we try and forecast things, the Amazon crystal ball doesn't always work, Ange, does it?
I was going to ask you to bring in your Amazon crystal ball the next time you're on.
You know what to get me for a Secret Santa now. But yeah, it's in times like this, there's a lot of choppiness and there's a lot of uncertainty and things can move very quickly.
Lots of people out there in the chat and other chats as well chiming in today saying this is a time to go shopping for those quality plays. The likes of those beaten down stocks that now, the PEs are looking very, very attractive, whereas before they would have looked very punchy. Are there any that are on your list?
Well, I mean, we tend to allocate on a sort of country by country basis when we're looking at the smart portfolio. So we've built a position in the FTSE 100 in European equities, which we felt were decently priced at previous periods. And obviously we're going to have a look at what the US equity market, the outlook for that. So we're going to keep an eye on things and see if that's stabilised and have a look at the trend, and then look at the valuation metrics and then see if that's worthwhile allocating to that area in the broader macro setting. So we have to look at, is this an attractive area to buy? But also, is our forecasting suggesting that we should be overweight equities at this time period, or is it suggesting that we should maybe be more neutral? So that's something we're always going to look at. But when you do get volatility, downward volatility in equity markets, it makes it nicer to allocate to the area because you're getting in at a cheaper price. It's like going into Zara and then seeing that a top you like 20% off or something. It's like, great, get the same quality item but now for cheaper. That's kind of how I see an equity market sell off.
Did you just say Zara?
Yeah, just a random shop.
Yeah. I love it. I miss your gilets. Bring them back. I know you said that the
Well, Phil banned me from them, so yeah. It's a conspiracy because all I was telling him, all the gallery are Arsenal fans and I'm a Chelsea fan, so I think it's because of that.
And on that note, the people at Henkel also really love their gilets and their suits, because I have met them before when they come over for their investor days. Just checking in on Henkel for you, because one of our viewers saying, hey, Henkel, down even more now, down 8.5% there, just adding that to my chart there, if I may. What's interesting about this as well is, and I found out the reason, because obviously it did come out with positive numbers, but the reason perhaps for this sharp decline down 8.5% now is because government decisions, this is from the US, are hurting the North American market over proportionally. This is not according to me or to Aaron, but according to Henkel's CEO. This is the German consumer goods and adhesive maker. Why does this matter? you are asking, and well, why this matters is because most normal people, Joe Blogs, only think of like the Persil and Schwarzkopf and that kind of stuff. But actually, their bread and butter are the things that hold things that really matter to everyday consumers, like your smartphones, like your car doors, like your bits on the plane, so that there are less rivets, which mean that the plane will require less fuel to fly. And so Henkel is a great bellwether and a great defensive stock as well. But at the moment, they're hurting because the CEO, and we're likely to see more of this, right? As the tariff roller disco continues, lots of companies are going to start having to update investors.
Terry Smith, the Fundsmith legend, said he likes sort of quite boring repeat transaction businesses, lifts. He used to own Otis.
Yes, Otis, and what's the other one that sounds like
a French business, I think.
That Schindler.
Schindler,
Yeah. I was going to say that movie with the train. Schindler, yeah. And these repeat businesses, you know, are great because there is a use. What is it Buffett said? If you don't know what the company does,
don't bother.
Don't bother. Ball bearings. Love ball bearings because in good times or bad times, you still need ball bearings for everything.
James Thompson, another fund manager at Rathbones, he was building up his portfolio in 2022, I believe, with sort of waste disposal companies. He said, you're still going to be creating rubbish even if there's a recession. So it's true. Those companies are still going to have relatively strong strong earnings relative to maybe the more consumer sensitive ones.
Yeah. So SKF is the Swedish ball bearing company that makes the biggest, there we are. And this is the daily chart. And you can see that it has been moving higher. Yeah, so suddenly boring is cool. But that is also why we talk about, making sure that you have a well-diversified portfolio here, making sure you mix it up a bit because you want to have your back covered. Even when liquidity is flowing out of growth, you have your value plays. And on that note, whatever you're doing today, I hope it is optimized. Aaron, what's your day looking like?
A few meetings and then just seeing the market.
No more kickboxing.
Not till
kickboxing
Saturday.
on the markets.
Yeah, I think that was why they sold off. They took a bit of a beating, didn't they?
They did. On that note, have a great one, everyone. And Boise, when you get that Messenger or Reddit or Discord Messenger app, please let me know. It'd be great to discuss with you guys after the show. Welcome to the exciting world of options trading. If you're looking to add a new dimension to your trading strategy, you're in the right place. Options trading offers unique benefits that can elevate your investing game. With options, you can protect your portfolio against market downturns, essentially creating an insurance policy for your investments. Now, what sets us apart is our commitment to your success. We provide extensive educational content to help you understand options trading inside and out. And with our 24-hour servicing, support is always just a call away. But that's not all. Options also allow you to generate income from your existing positions. Strategies like covered calls let you profit even when your stocks aren't making big moves. Options also shine when the market isn't following a clear direction, whether prices are rising, falling, or staying flat. There's always an option strategy you can use to potentially benefit. Now, we offer two ways to trade options: listed options for US shares, ETFs and futures, and over-the-counter options through spread bets and CFDs. Both types give you the ability to take various market positions. So, ready to explore the potential of options trading? Well, open an account today and take your first steps into this dynamic market. Remember, while options trading can be rewarding, it comes with risks. Always trade within your means and never risk more than you can afford to lose.
bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next shiny new thing. Bring me the next.
Fundamental analysis is a method of evaluating assets to assess what their prices should be. It's based on the principle that every asset has a real fair value, which may be very different to its current price. It assumes that markets will naturally correct to reflect these fair values over time. The aim is to discover assets that are currently underpriced or overpriced, then place trades to profit from the expected correction if it materializes. Now, unlike a technical analysis that focuses on price charts, a detailed fundamental analysis would look at everything that could drive future price movements. The technique is most commonly used to scrutinize the price of shares, where annual reports, industry trends, and a company's management team may form part of an overall assessment. However, fundamental analysis can be used to review the price of an asset. A commodity like oil, for example, could be evaluated on the basis of economic data, regulation, brand recognition, geopolitical factors, and technical specification, among other factors. But while fundamental analysis is often said to be more comprehensive than technical analysis, it may not give you the full picture. For one thing, it's generally only useful for identifying long-term trends, whereas a technical analysis can help find short-term opportunities. For this reason, it's often a good idea to combine elements of both types to get the most accurate view of a market's direction. To learn more about fundamental analysis, join IG Academy today. It's completely free and gives you access to dozens of trading topics.
Planning to make investing your New Year's resolution? IG Invest brings their trading expertise to a brand new, simple and user-friendly app. With zero commission on US stocks, why wait? Download IG Invest today.
Are you ambitious? A future leader? Do you think big and raise the bar? If that sounds familiar, IG wants you. We're a global fintech and we offer graduate schemes for the ambitious. You'll see everything as you rotate across the business, building your skills and knowledge as you go. Kickstart your career as a future leader at IG, the home of the ambitious.
Welcome to Technically Speaking, where I answer your technical questions on your trades, on your charts, on what you would like to look at, mainly based on technical analysis. And as I've just shown here with my trade of the week, what you can do when you look at charts is look at previous support and resistance levels, but also look at market sentiment, because it can quite often act as a contrary indicator, at least in the short term, and therefore it can be quite useful. So let's just answer some questions. I haven't got any questions yet. Well, that's the first. So if you want to send questions in, please do so. What I could do in the meantime is perhaps look at some markets and see how they are looking. Now, let's start off with the German DAX 40. It's one of my favorites. I trade it all the time, as you well know. And you can see here, I've got a 5-minute chart up here. And right now what we've seen is potentially the pattern we discussed last week, this ABC correction. So we have a move. The overall trend is still up from a few days ago, and then we had a corrective move down, and then this morning we had this ABC correction down, this zigzag, where you can see this distance from here down to there is similar in length to from there down to here. So that's your ABC correction. Then we had a buy signal here. And this pattern only works half of the time, but basically if you get stopped out, your stop is just below the last reaction low, that's this one here. Very tight stop, we nearly got stopped out, but then the DAX went up, and right now we are up. So what you can now do is, because we went up by the distance of our initial risk. So imagine we had gone long here on the break above that previous negative candle at 22,806. Our stop loss would have been at 22,739. And then because the market moved up by the same distance as our stop, we can now move our stop to break even. Had we done that, we would have been stopped out at break even, so that trade would have been closed out. If you're not closed out on that trade yet, maybe you want to move your stop to break even or just below the last direction low, which is this one here. If you have a longer term view, what you can do on the 5-minute chart, we're talking longer term here, so the next half hour or hour perhaps, what you could do is perhaps leave, in that case, your stop down here because it's only a few ticks below that one. But that's how we use this pattern, and it creeps up on all kinds of time frames. So that's something I like to look at. But if we look at the daily chart, what we can see here is that the DAX, the German stock index, remains in an uptrend, is losing upside momentum though from last week's all-time record high on this daily financial met at 23,473. And we are currently testing this uptrend line, the previous uptrend line, which has been broken through. So I need to now remove it. And we'll have to see whether we can hold above this low from the 4th of March. So as long as we stay above there, and more importantly, the low here in mid-February, for me, this is still an uptrend. But I've got some questions now. I've got a question coming in looking at the Euro Stoxx 50. If we look at the Euro Stoxx 50, what is the Euro Stoxx 50 doing? Well, what we can see here is something similar to the DAX in that we did go higher. And then can you see here, these highs going back to mid-February were retested on an intraday basis. So we didn't close above those highs back on the 3rd of March and again on the 6th of March. But we haven't managed to close above these previous highs. So right now we're coming off again, and we're holding though above the last reaction low, which is the important one to look at. And that's also a hammer formation, so potentially it pointed towards further upside being seen. This hasn't come to fruition, but that would be my stop if I were long here at 5,502, just below that low here. Because if we were to fall through here, it is quite likely that the sideways trading range may continue, perhaps with wider volatility, and in which case we could perhaps retest the 6th of February high here at 5,364, or perhaps even the next lower one, the end of January high at 5,314. So right now we're just trading in a sideways trading range, and this may continue for several more days. I mean, it's happened basically since mid-February. But right now it looks as if a new all-time record high in the Euro Stoxx 500 is not on the cards, not today at least, because as you can see here, we're starting to come off slightly. Now I've got a question about JD Sports. Let's look at JD Sports. Now, don't forget, obviously, that I glance at the charts here. If I do proper technical analysis, I'll probably spend half an hour to an hour actually looking at the very long-term charts, at the quarterly charts, at the monthly charts, the weekly charts, at the daily charts, look at all the different trends, look at Elliott wave analysis, look at seasonality, look at all kinds of things to then come up with my forecast and my trades, or at least with the potential trades or hypothetical trades for clients. So it's not just sort of having a quick glance at things as I do now, but I can still give you a ballpark of what I think is going on based on the chart patterns that I look at. So the question here was, are we still in a downtrend? And I think you can answer that question yourself, because let me just get rid of this old one here. What can we see? Well, we can see a series of lower highs and lower lows. That's the definition of a downtrend. So clearly on the JD Sports chart, we are still in a downtrend. And I know I had this question a few weeks ago, and I said, well, you know, it's probably going to go further down. And that's exactly what happened here. You've got further downside. And I'm going to do a podcast later on today, and it'll be out soon, with Riz Iqbal. And you can see on there, I'll talk about a trading strategy which I've been using for over 30 years now, which is based around the 30-period simple moving average. And you can see here, I've got the 30-period simple moving average on here. And you can see on that strategy, we would still have been short from up here in JD Sports, and we are still short now. So in case you're interested in that, you could have a look at that later on, perhaps this week or next week. Let me just look at the chart. Well, basically, oh yeah, I've been asked what's the name of the podcast. Words of Wisdom is the name of the podcast. I've already been on there and talked about risk and money management, things like that. If you're interested in that, have a look at that. But let's look at the JD Sports longer term chart, at the weekly chart. Let's zoom out a bit. And what we can see here is that we've fallen through the October 2022 low, which is negative, because that is a key support level potentially, and we fell through there. So now the next downside target from a long-term perspective is probably this whole area here, which is made up of the July 2017 to December 2018 lows, and they sort of come in around 65 to 60. So, I mean, there's further downside to be seen here on this spread bet as the share price remains bearish. And you can see here we have 3 consecutive weeks of lower share prices here. On the daily chart, what we're trying to see is a bounce back, as you can see here today. But for me, as long as we stay on a daily chart closing basis below these highs going back to late January and February, which were made on the daily financial bet around 90.31 or so, the trend is still pointing lower. Now, Sarabi Gold again. My Sarabi Gold friend. Well, last week we were saying that we were in an uptrend, I believe, but that we had this bearish engulfing pattern to the downside. And I remembered correctly, this is the bearish engulfing pattern I told you about. And I did say that short term, it points to a top forming. So at least a consolidation being seen. And what we've seen since then is clearly here us coming down, retesting these previous highs, which now act as support. But interestingly enough, perhaps, and I'm not jumping the gun here because I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but perhaps this could turn out to be an ABC pattern, the pattern I just showed you on the 5-minute charts on the DAX. So if that is the case, what do we need to look out for? We've got this down move, move back up again, down move. If the distance from here to there is similar in length from here to there, it's slightly shorter at the moment, so maybe we'll get another down move here. But if it is similar in length, and you then get a buy signal, by which I mean we would have to rise above Friday's high here, above this high here, which incidentally might now act as resistance because it's also where the breached uptrend line currently comes in, and that, because of inverse polarity, can act as resistance. But if we were to rise above here, you could go long, for example, put a stop loss just below that last reaction low here. And then if the pattern is actually an ABC correction, we would expect a new all-time high to be a new high to be made here above the high seen in February. So that's a pattern you could perhaps trade. The problem is I don't know whether this ABC correction is long enough at the moment for this to be a valid pattern or not. So let's look at that again. Now, I've got another question looking at the gold price. The gold price itself in US dollars, you can see here what I just talked to you about, this previous uptrend line acting as resistance. And that's why you keep your lines, you make it a dotted line or something like that, but you keep them on your chart because they can be extremely powerful going forward. So let's look at how I did this. I used the lowest point on my chart, the 6th of January low, from where I could draw an uptrend line through the next higher lows, in this case the 14th of January low, and also the 20th of January low, and I had 3 touching points. That means it's a trend line, a proper one, because I had three touching points. And that then in the future acted as support here on these days, as you can see, and again here. Now, why did I draw it from this low here or that low here? Because the uptrend line would have been too flat, and it wouldn't have meant anything. So you need to try to find one which actually hugs the data to an extent, but which then works. And this one did. And as you can see here, we then held here at support twice on that trend line on these 2 days. But then on the 27th of February, we fell through that uptrend line and closed below it. So that was a trend line break for me. Break, and it was also a valid trend line break because we fell through this previous reaction low here and also there. But what happened since is that we bounced back. But where did we bounce back to? Can you see, lo and behold, our previous breached uptrend line now acted as resistance. Not just last Tuesday on the 4th of March, but also on Wednesday. So you can see here how that can be a very powerful tool to then enter in the direction of the counter trend move short term against the major trend, if you are so inclined. As I said to you before, it's always safer to trade with the overall trend than against it. But I know that some of you like to trade against the overbearing trend. So anyway, what is going on with regards to the gold price? As you can see, yes, we've had a corrective move here, but basically, as long as we stay above the 28th of February low here at around $2,832 per troy ounce on this daily financial bet here anyway, we're still in an uptrend. So yes, we are losing upside momentum and trading sideways, but we're still pointing higher. Now, can I look at ALB? Let's do that. ALB. And thanks for keeping these questions coming. I hope you mean Alba Mineral Resources. I don't know. Can you just tell me, Juggernaut? In the meantime, I'll answer the other question, AMAT. Is AMAT applied materials? Juggernaut, yes, okay. So let's go back to ALB. As you can tell, I'm not that familiar with all of these stocks because I'm very busy doing lots of other stuff. But anyway, what we can see here is that we, first of all, see a stock here which is not very traded. Can you see here all these gaps on this chart? So to get in and out of it, the spread is probably going to be quite wide and it's not going to be easy to manage your stop losses. So you have to be aware of that. But if you're in this position, well, what's the trend telling us? Well, the trend is telling us we're still in a downtrend. And you can see we have a series of higher, lower lows and higher, lower highs and lower lows, which is a definition of a downtrend. So let's look on the weekly chart and see how far we're going. And you can see we've fallen through the March 2020 low and we're trading all-time lows. So sorry to say, if you're long, there is no indication that that trend is changing direction at the moment. And if you're short, well, good on you. Keep your shorts, keep getting short, staying short. Now, if you want to look at applied materials, let's do that. Here we go, a more well-known stock. What we can see here is we had a nice uptrend, a very strong uptrend, but since then, like a lot of the other US tech stocks, we have come down quite significantly and we are currently still in a corrective phase because we are holding at the support area. Can you see here we're testing the previous highs going back to late August, etc. So that might act as support going forward. If we don't hold here today, then what we could see, that's the weekly chart, sorry. If I go back to the monthly chart. So we're trying to see, as you can see here, we're trying to hold at the support area held here for 3 days, and we're trying to break above this high here. If we do so, we may head back up again, and that might be